I think. Anyway, we'll get that all sorted after we get the news headlines now from Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. It is Wednesday and a man's been killed in a collision on the Letterkenny to Derry Road. It happened last evening between Newton Cunningham and Manor Cunningham. A section of the N13 remains closed and diversions are in place. With more detail, here's Emma Ryan.
Gardaí say the collision involved 3 cars and occurred at approximately 10 to 11 last night. A man in his early 70s was taken from the scene to Letterkenny University Hospital where he was pronounced deceased. A man in his 40s was also taken to Letterkenny Hospital to be treated for injuries which are not believed to be life-threatening. No other injuries have been reported. Gardaí are appealing to any person who may have witnessed this collision to contact them and are particularly interested in hearing from anyone with dashcam footage. Anyone with information can contact Letterkenny Garda Station at 074 91 67100, the Garda Confidential line, or any Garda station.
A Donegal TD is accusing the government of seeking to bulldoze the new defective blocks bill through the Dáil this evening. TDs will debate the bill for 2 hours between 5:30 and 7:30. They'll consider as many of the 80 tabled amendments as possible, but once those 2 hours are finished, no more amendments will be considered and the debate will conclude. Speaking to Taoiseach Leo Varadkar in the Dáil last night, Deputy Thomas Pringle said that simply isn't good enough.
It's casual and haphazard at best. At worst, it's cynical and callous, and I believe this is more likely the deliberate intent. So despite the pleas given voice in here by the opposition from homeowners across the country, and especially vocal from my own constituency of Donegal, to allow more time for scrutiny and debate of the defective blocks bill, you are intent on bulldozing it through the House in 2 hours. Following the passage of the defective block legislation, when is it envisaged that your defective scheme will be open for applications?
Thanks, Deputy. The intention is to have the legislation enacted by the end of next week. Then obviously it has to go to the RS for the President to sign, and all things going to plan, we'd anticipate the scheme being open for applications well before the end of the year.
Boris Johnson's days as British Prime Minister are limited, and if he continues to cling on, he'll be forced out. That's the view of the former British Attorney General and Tory MP Dominic Greaves. Mr Johnson's currently fighting for his job after losing both his Chancellor and Health Secretary yesterday. They quit after he apologised for appointing Chris Pincher as his Deputy Chief Whip, saying he'd forgotten about complaints over Pincher's behaviour. Dominic Greaves says another confidence motion is likely to take place despite current rules, saying they'd have to wait 12 months.
And I think that in reality there will be another confidence motion. They'll change the rules. Or if there isn't another confidence motion, the pressure that is going to build on him will be so great that his position will become untenable. It's very difficult. It's a very unusual situation because if he'd been any ordinary Prime Minister, I think he would already be gone. But his character and temperament mean that he will cling on, and I think will have to be forced out.
Met Éireann says temperatures could hit 23 degrees in parts of the country tomorrow. Most areas will see warm and dry weather over the weekend. The south and east benefiting most from sunny spells tomorrow. Dry in most areas on Friday. Next week we'll see much dry weather with temperatures in the low to mid-20s, but Met Éireann is warning it'll stay somewhat cooler in western and northwestern areas. And today it'll be cloudy or overcast with light rain or drizzle at times, some dry periods. Top temperatures 15 or 16 degrees Celsius and breezy with moderate to fresh westerly winds, strong in coastal areas but easing this evening. It'll be a humid night with temperatures not dropping below 12 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. Back with news in full at 10 o'clock.
The train calling at Platform 3 is the 1959 service to Cork. Calling at Charleville, Mallow and Maria in C32A starts chemo next month.
We don't always know who's at risk from COVID-19 and other viruses, but we do know how to protect them. Keep hands clean and wear a mask. Let fresh air in. Get vaccinated and stay at home if you are unwell. From the HSE, for us all.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio. Hello, good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9 this Wednesday, the 6th of July. How are you keeping? I hope you're very well indeed. It's a bumper-to-bumper show today. We want you involved by WhatsApping and texting from now. 086 60 25,000. The lines are open for you there to have your say. Even if you've never texted a radio show before, we want to hear your opinions. 07491 25,000 is how you give us a call. And we have Donna Marie and Emma taking your calls today. Emails to comments@highlandradio.com. If you want to watch the show, see many of our guests as they express their opinions, share their news, you can go onto our website right now, highlandradio.com, or join us on Facebook, Highland Radio News and Sport, or Highland Radio. Coming up, after we have a look through the newspapers, we'll be joined by the Tyrconnell Tribune's John McAteer. I'm interested to get his views, obviously, given his analytic mind and knowledge. Interested to get his views, firstly, on the vote last night. I would say arguably perhaps one of the most important votes as it affects Donegal people, as to whether or not the defective blocks bill will be given up to 9 hours perhaps for discussion or limited to 2. As it turns out, it was limited to 2. The government won a vote in that regard. 3 of Donegal's TDs were in attendance. Sinn Féin's Pearse Doherty, Paul McLaughlin, Independent Thomas Pringle. They voted for more time to be allowed to discuss that bill. Charlie McConnell, Joe McHugh weren't in the chamber for that vote, and quite a lot of people weren't. There was a pairing involved there. I think the rural independents, someone mentioned to me, they paired with government parties to ensure that got over the line, which I think is quite significant in itself, and perhaps is worthy of a little bit more scrutiny. So John McAteer is coming on to talk about that, and also really primarily to discuss what might happen in Donegal if, they are going to. The Mike Action Group are forming a political party. They are going to run candidates or a candidate. And who might get in? Who might succeed? Who might that candidate be? We're going to be teasing all that out with John McAteer over the course of the next while. That's going to be interesting. Obviously, as you might expect, I hope you would expect, we got on to, and I'll do this before we do the papers actually, because this is really, I think it's quite important. Because of the significance of yesterday's conversation in the Dáil for us here in Donegal and 13 other counties, people were interested clearly to understand why Fine Gael's Joe McHugh or Minister for Fianna Fáil, Charlie McConnell, was not in the Dáil. So we invited them on the programme just to ask. And unfortunately, neither are available to speak with you today. Charlie McConnell says he's chairing a meeting, so cannot come on the show. Might be available tomorrow. He says he's been working with ministers in an attempt to get them to accept some of the amendments, putting pressure on, and phone calls with Housing Minister Dara O'Brien and Tánaiste Leo Varadkar last night and this morning. Said he's particularly pushing on the downsizing issues. Was not in the Dáil yesterday. He disagrees with the 2-hour time slot, did not want to vote against the government yesterday, as he's still trying to get them to see sense and agree some of the amendments. So whilst he wasn't there and the vote's not recorded, he says he didn't want to vote against the government yesterday. So that's Joe McHugh's position on the record. Minister Charlie McConnell, he said he's not coming on the show. He was speaking at a national beef event yesterday, which was previously arranged while the Micah debate was on the Dáil. Again, maybe he could have paired his vote. I don't know if it was so important. He said, though, he's happy to come on the show after the bill is passed, but for now he's focused on getting the work of the bill complete. Many months of hard work, he says, have gone into the bill, and they need to get the scheme finalised and the legislation in place. That's his focus today. Well, as I say, he's happy to come on once that work is done. So that is the official line from Minister Charlie McConnell, Deputy Joe McHugh, as to why, A, they weren't in the Dáil to vote on that important issue yesterday, and B, whilst they're not available to speak to you today. Right, we'll be teasing all that out, as I say, with John McAteer. Let's look at the newspapers, and it is a Micah block story in the front of the Inish Times. Micah campaigners have confirmed plans to form a new political party. The group has 28 days to finalise details of the new party, including its name. The process is already underway, with the group confirming they've signed Oireachtas papers to begin the formation of a new party. The news comes as the Micah Action Group accused the government of attempting to railroad through its $3.65 billion defective blocks remediation scheme without taking the 80 amendments on board that the group says are vital to making the redress package work for everyone. Right, let's go to the Donegal Post this morning. Parade time again. Thousands of people are expected to descend on Rosnala this Saturday for the annual Orange Parade, which is returning following the cancellation of the event both last year and the year before due to COVID-19. It's expected that upwards of 40 lodges from Donegal, Cavan, Leitrim and Monaghan, as well as visiting Orangemen from Northern Ireland and further afield, will take part in the parade, which begins close to St John's Parish Church at 12:30pm. On to the national newspapers now. We'll start with the Irish Independent. Not good news if you're between 45 and 54, because one in 5 of you are likely to be hit. Pensions will be penury. Higher numbers of people renting rather than owning their homes when they retire are raising the prospect of many more living in poverty as they retire, experts have warned. The 1 in 5 aged 45 to 54 now renting their homes have little prospect of ever owning and are at the front of a rising wave facing a significantly poorer retirement that current pensioners, the Economic Social Research Institute studies warns. And the research says the state is unlikely to be able to fully carry the cost burden of large numbers of people renting in their retirement. The decline in home ownership rates is hitting younger adults in greater numbers, but is being felt across all working age adults, the study shows. While 90% of current retirees own their home, that drops to 80% amongst the current age, 45 to 54. And crucially, researchers say this gap is unlikely to close substantially. And they're not going to be able to turn that around, probably. Maybe we're moving to a model that you're more likely to see in Central Europe, where there's more of a balance between renters and ownership. We just have to have, if we can't reverse that, we just have to have a system in place similar to elsewhere that facilitates that and helps people and avoids people living in poverty rather than simply accepting it. Because it's what we're doing now. It's what we're doing now is determining the future. It's not happening by accident. It's policy, it's decisions, it's spending. That's what's determining what's going to happen to those people. So if they can't fix it now, they're going to have to change the system to make it less of a burden for renters once they've retired. Boris Johnson, unbelievably, still in a job this morning. He's lost Sajid Javid and Rishi Sunak, 2 of his most ardent supporters. They were wheeled out on every news channel going to say how he's doing a fantastic job and they stand by their man. Well, the former Health Secretary and Chancellor of the Exchequer, they've gone. They walked out and were quite scathing in their comments on Boris Johnson. Even the Sun newspaper, which is one of his biggest supporters, is starting to wobble a little bit, such as the media landscape in Britain. But he's sticking to his guns, unbelievably, with one scandal after another. He has already replaced Sajid Javid and also Rishi Sunak. We read on here, Boris Johnson's future as British Prime Minister is in the balance after 2 senior cabinet ministers resigned yesterday, saying he was the wrong person to lead the country. Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi Sunak, and Health Secretary Sajid Javid resigned within minutes of each other shortly after 6 p.m. last night. Now, both of these people probably have, well, one of them at least, probably has leadership ambitions, and he's likely to be out of a job sooner rather than later, unless he is completely made of Teflon. And one of these guys might be throwing their hats in the ring. To leave ministerial office is a serious matter at any time for me to step down as Chancellor while the world is suffering the economic consequences of the pandemic, the war in the Ukraine and other serious challenges is a decision that I have not taken lightly. However, the public rightly expect government to be conducted properly, completely and seriously, Mr Sunak said in a letter to Mr Johnson. Not covered really much anywhere either, but the Secretary of State to Northern Ireland has also resigned. It'll be very interesting to see if there is a change of leadership there or indeed a snap election, what the implications would be for Northern Ireland, the big debate over the protocol, and also Brexit as a whole. Labour have bottled it a little bit in saying they'd won another referendum on Brexit. They're sort of saying they would maintain the status quo. But still, I think it would be a very interesting time for us, even though they're not our politicians, but I think the consequences of a government change or a Tory leadership change, government change, leadership change, obviously it's going to have implications for us, so we'll be watching there closely. In the Mail, mask wearing could be set to return later this year, as Taoiseach Leo Varadkar said nobody can rule out the possibility of restrictions returning. However, he ruled out any restrictions being introduced for the current summer wave. This is despite calls from healthcare organisations for public health restrictions to be introduced due to significant overcrowding and staff illnesses in hospitals. The latest wave comes as Mr Varadkar warned that a more deadly wave will strike in winter, with the combination of the flu returning and warning vaccine immunity causing concern among health officials. He was speaking on RTE and said he used Australia as an example of the troubles that lie ahead, saying generally what happens in Australia in the winter happens here, and they're having a very bad flu season at the moment. So not many of you want to hear that, of course, but it would be remiss of me not to mention it, as those are the people that are going to be making those decisions. On to the Irish Daily Star now. This is a very difficult story, by the way, so for any sensitive ears, just for a minute or two. But a woman has received a jail sentence of 3 months for the manslaughter and neglect of a newborn baby that she put in a bin after giving birth. 3 years of the sentence was suspended for a period of 3 years by Justice Eugene O'Kelly, who said it was a sad and tragic case with the woman's grave actions, meaning her baby girl was left to die by the one and only person who knew of her birth. When handing down the sentence, the judge said the woman, now 23, had herself acknowledged she has to live with the consequences of what she has done and what she failed to do for the rest of her life. He said her actions went so much against the natural instincts of any parent, but that there was a little risk of her reoffending. The woman, who the court allowed to be named as Caitlin Corcoran of Castleblaney in County Kilkenny and formerly of Carrick Farish in Waterford City, sobbed and was visibly shaking at various points during her sentencing hearing at Waterford Circuit Criminal Court. It's just unimaginable. The poor wee dolt. Okay, the Irish Sun this morning. This is good news. I suppose, we have to welcome good news as we get it. It's not good news for everyone. It doesn't go as far as some might want. But we talk about the burden being eased on families. For some families, this is going to do that. The Coalition last night announced 3 new measures to help parents fend off the cost of living crisis, including a €100 back-to-school allowance boost. In addition, all school transport will be free and hot meals extended to 60,000 extra children as part of a surprise €67 million package. So what this means is that bill that you would have faced of around €400-500 per year, you won't have to pay this year. So, what is that though? Like 250 litres of oil or whatever it might be, a few bags of coal, 10 bags of coal potentially. But be that as it may, it's still money that you won't have to spend. So I presume that has to be welcomed. €100 boost to the back-to-school allowance. That's going to help a lot of families out there. Of course, some would say the criteria for being able to get the back-to-school allowance is too narrow. But they do say they may look at that further in the next budget. But in the meantime, I think a lot of you listening will say, right, okay, I don't have to find that money for school transport, if I'm reading this correctly. Well, that's a boost, isn't it? That's going to make a difference. Hopefully it does. The announcement was made outside government buildings by Public Expenditure Minister Michael McGrath, Education Minister Norma Foley and Social Protection Minister Heather Humphreys. We'll give Norma Foley's office a ring, actually, and see if she's available to discuss that with us later on in the programme. But as I say, on the face of it, it seems like good news for some. Of course, as I say, for others, they might feel the qualifying criteria needs to be widened and more could be done. But listen, good news for some there at least. On to the Irish Daily Mirror. Soccer legend Paul McGrath has slammed online trolls who abused Ursula Jacob after her punditry at the All-Ireland semi-finals. On the Sunday game, and RTE hurling analyst was working for the broadcaster at Croke Park. After the game, she spotted an abusive comment via a prominent Facebook page. The comment was included in an article that was shared on the mentioned Facebook page, which has upwards of 300,000 followers. Ursula hit out at the comment on social media saying enough is enough with a screenshot of the message. She continued, usually I never entertain and give keyboard warriors an ounce of time or thought, but sometimes enough is enough, and standing up for yourself is more important than constantly just putting up with nasty, tasteless comments from faceless cowards. I think it was Benchwarmers, actually, that platformed and highlighted negative comments towards her. I didn't see the comments. I don't know the nature of them. But what I do know is people can be critical, and we're all critical, and we're entitled to be critical, especially people who are, given a platform on the national media. It's the personal nature of the commentary. Like people might not like what I say, but some people go, I hate you, or, you're a scumbag, or that kind of stuff. When really, I'll debate or have a discussion with anyone for the most part until it gets down to that nasty stuff. There's just no need for it. Thankfully, I'm nobody compared to Ursula in terms of platform, but I just think we can disagree and call people out, but we don't necessarily have to be so nasty, do we? Right. Do you want to hear John McAteer's thoughts on what may happen, what the political landscape might be in Donegal if Micah Action Group run candidates? Well, he's going to join us after this break.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
At Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure, we know a good pair of trainers makes all the difference, whether you're running marathons or training for your first 5k. We stock all the leading brands, including Asics, Brooks and New Balance, with different styles and features to suit individual running needs. Call in store or shop online at michaelmurphysports.ie.
Want unbeatable value from Sky? Here's the deal. Get Sky Broadband for just €29 a month, plus Sky Q for only €10 a month. Super fast, super reliable broadband. And Sky Q with your apps and recordings. That's Sky Broadband for €29 a month, plus Sky Q for €10 a month for 12 months. Now that is unbeatable value. Go to sky.ie. Availability subject to location. Offer does not include Sky TV subscription. New Sky customers only. Setup fees, minimum term and further terms apply. For more info, see sky.ie/speeds.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
Raymond Sweeney here from Ben Sweeney Euronics to let you know about the Blomberg integrated dishwasher, which can save you time and money. When you're pressed for time, you can choose a quick 30-minute or 58-minute wash cycle or an intelligent auto program for perfect wash results every time. The German engineered inverter motor means it operates at low noise level, so it's whisper quiet. And there's a 7-year parts and labour warranty for peace of mind. Call in and see for yourself at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, or in the shopping centre Donegal.
Okay, you're welcome back to the programme. A caller says Minister McConnell should get to work in getting his pension sorted out. He'll be drawing it down after the next election, methinks. He already knows that Deputy Joe McHugh his number is up and is not going to contest the next general election, but that's a choice, of course, that Joe McHugh would have made himself. More comments on that if you wish to 086 60 25,000. Over the years, they've done nothing for Donegal, believes this caller. Can't get another bridge into Letterkenny as usual. The TD's not available when we need them to turn up at the vote. They're not available. They have to step up and shout. Look at the Healy Rays. They would have been there shouting for their county. But would they? Do the Healy Rays achieve? Obviously, you know, it's about deliverance, isn't it? It's not about making noise. Right, okay. I returned to Ireland today from Vancouver. Apart from the chaos at baggage, where there's luggage lying everywhere, and it took us an hour and 20 minutes to receive ours, to then have to go out of Terminal 1 and go through security again for our connection at Terminal 2. I was shocked after inquiring to be told there's no connection corridor, no more between the two buildings. I'm embarrassed to say this is our national airport. Thankfully, it wasn't raining outside at the time. Imagine what tourists think of this airport. Yeah, indeed. But I mean, I was speaking to someone recently who was travelling through the airport in Amsterdam, and their experience there was absolutely brutal. And we're also seeing thousands upon thousands of flights being cancelled in other European airports as well. But just on Dublin Airport, because there was a story in the papers that I want to just give a quick mention as we wait for John McAteer to join us. Around 500 bags a day are being lost at the country's biggest airport, it's been claimed. Angry passengers are waiting several hours for luggage, and it's spiralling out of control. An expert claimed on RTE that 50 bags a day would be lost normally, but the figure now tops 500, meaning an increase of 900%. With today being the first day, the Army going on standby to assist at Dublin Airport. Exhausted workers say they're doing everything they can, but claim that luggage mountains build up again as soon as they're cleared. Passengers complain it is a nightmare and means tourists suffer holiday hell in Ireland due to lost luggage, with hotels dealing with daily deliveries of bags, disrupting golfing holidays and weddings. All right, okay, so it is bad down there. Let's see if John McAteer can hear me. Are you there, John?
I am indeed, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Great to have you with us on the programme today. Right, okay, I just want your reaction. We talk about, you know, what the emergence of MAG candidates might actually mean. We heard from, unfortunately, neither Deputy Joe McHugh or Minister Sean McConnell are available today to speak to us. But they say they weren't able to attend yesterday's vote in the Dáil. I don't think it's isn't an exaggeration to say that vote to sort of extend the time to discuss the defective blocks bill was one of the most important Dáil votes affecting Donegal in quite some time?
I suppose in a way it was, Greg, but at that point it wasn't going to make any difference because the allocated time for the week has already been well laid out. It was 2 hours allocated, and that's it. That's this afternoon from 5:30 to 7:30. And after that, it goes to the Dáil for a vote next weekend, and then to the President for signing. I suppose, listening to Michael Doherty on the programme several times in recent days, it's a long time since their trust in politics was eroded, and I suppose this was the final straw. They feel let down. They feel that the 2 Donegal TDs representing the government haven't stepped up to the mark. Although the councillors, or the 37 of them, they put out that challenge to the councillors on Sunday evening, was it? You back Micah or you back your party. All 37 councillors eventually rode in behind them, despite a couple of stormy meetings that went on behind the scenes on Sunday night and maybe Monday night. But they got there anyway. But insofar as all those meetings in the Dáil, going back to the Oireachtas meeting, the 6-hour session, all of the talking that's been done and all of the motions that's been put forward, and everything that the Micah Action Group presumed was going to be included for discussion in that pre-legislative scrutiny, that has all been thrown aside. There's none of that is included. That's why you have 80 red lines in there from the Micah Action Group. Probably 3 or 4 of them will be heard this evening at most. They're going to make no difference whatsoever because the reality is, I think everybody realises now that this bill is going to be carried.
Okay, well, let me ask you, John, in your opinion, okay, like say some of the lowlights of this scheme, foundations not being included, of course, maybe some promise of something next year, not allowing downsizing, though I get a sneaky feeling that's one that might actually find its way into the new bill, just reading some of the language that's being used, and being able to return to the scheme or being excluded for the scheme, some of the obvious stuff that it doesn't make sense that's in there. What do you believe the motivation for fast-tracking and railroading this scheme through is? When you're committing so much money, why not just get it right and reap the positive benefits of that from the electorate?
I think the reality here is that the bill was going to be railroaded through this week anyway, regardless. And for some reason, if there was going to be any allowance given, if there's going to be any measures given, I mean, there's another bill coming up this evening from 7:30 until 9. It's a very short one. It's a very important one as well. Micah was never going to get through this Dáil session had it to go through in a normal way. I think the Micah Action Group, more than anybody else, because they have a fair handle on things, they realised that a long time ago that this Dáil session was not going to be long enough to embrace all the aspects and all the different stages that this bill would need, and there were going to be very, very lengthy stages to go through all of those 80 issues. We don't know what they are now. We haven't seen them. We probably will see them published. But the bill is being railroaded through just as a matter of expediency, just for the government to just get it over the line and see what happens there in the autumn and see, do people actually buy into it? There's no way that the Micah Action Group is going to be recommending that anybody buy into this group because it's going to cost them money. It's nowhere near 100% redress. It's not even 90% redress as they read it. So, they feel that they're now worse off than they were last November. And when you reach that point, your faith in politics and the political system and those who represent that system for the government in this county fall away. And this is where the new party has come out of. And because it's a last-ditch stand, they do see that there is no other option. And I suppose they also see the realistic potential that they can probably take a seat in the county.
Right, okay. So for the purpose of the next part of this conversation, are we presuming, John, that in terms of the layout of the constituency and the level of representation is most likely to remain the same at the next election?
I've done a fair bit of analysis on that. Some of it's published, some of it's to be published. Hard to see any changes there. The changes are going to be basically on the East Coast, from Louth down to Carlow and back up to Lee Shoffley, Tipperary, There's 5 big constituencies there, all 5-seaters. There could be 2 new 3-seat constituencies, one in Carlow, Kilkenny, and one in Tipperary. Here in Donegal, we are within the margins. I would imagine that with the population that we have, and with that area of South Donegal and remaining in Sligo Leitrim, it's about 9,000, less than 9,500 votes. It's an awful lot as far as we're concerned. But it will allow 1 seat per 31,400 people. So that's pretty well within the margins. Now, from the point of view of 2 3-seaters in Donegal, and taking in those 9 electoral areas for your total population of 166,000 plus, you're going to be down to 127,300. I don't think that's going to be acceptable, because Donegal's population, unfortunately, has recorded one of the lowest growth rates in Ireland in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Yes, it's actually 4.5%. The constituency population has grown a little bit more, because that area up in and around that Ballysharon-Bundoran area has grown by about 800 extra people. So that's quite substantial. But for the purpose of the debate, you could simply say, we'll just go with the fact that we have 5 seats, and it looks that's the way it's going to stay.
Right, okay. So the Micah Action Group, the political party, whatever it might be called, I think they might want to move away from the word Micah, because this is much broader, and it will be much broader than Micah going forward. Yeah. Defective Blocks Ireland, or whatever they want to call themselves, I don't know. Obviously, they run a candidate then in Inishowen. Who do you think that candidate might be, or who would be in the running? Could you see someone like maybe, say, for instance, Martin McDermott? He's worked very close with the Mike Action Group. You could say that with Charlie McConalogue there, his options to run for Fianna Fáil, I don't know what his ambitions are, that maybe he could run as an independent, or would it be the likes of Michael Doherty, or what do you see someone else emerging? Might they go for someone who's, if he were interested, someone with the profile of Paddy Differ, or what do you think?
I think it's all too due at this point. I know that Martin McDermott is the chair of the Micah Action Group of the Micah Committee in Lufford. He's one of the prominent front people for it. He's an elected councillor. He has a good draw of a vote. Would he leave Fianna Fáil? I don't think so.
But it would be hard. It would be hard.
It's going to be a very big challenge. How can you remain in the Micah Action Group when they go political, and how can you remain in Fianna Fáil and be part of both?
Could he campaign for Charlie McConalogue, for example, if Charlie McConalogue votes for the government, as he's expected to do, on this bill, at odds with the views of those affected by this scandal? That's kind of what's pushing me in that line of thought. Now, he might reject it out of hand, but
it probably will. But politics, I mean, is the art of getting us to believe that the impossible is possible. Fianna Fáil have been past masters at this for about 100 years, and they're not going to stop now. It's going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons big time right across what would have been the old Donegal North East constituency. This is for Fianna Fáil can't afford to lose a vote at all. Charlie McConalogue went from topping the poll in 2016 to just scraping in on the surplus votes of Councillor John O'Donnell in 2020. He's in a vulnerable position. Fine Gael will be in a much more vulnerable position because they don't have a quota. They don't have a candidate. Fianna Fáil, regardless, they have 12 councillors. That's a pretty strong base across the county. I would never be writing off Fianna Fáil. You would do so at your peril, because they have a long-standing association with Donegal, like it or like it not. But the challenge is going to come on 2 fronts now. It's going to come from a Micah candidate. Michael Doherty would be probably in the running there. Paddy Differ would be in the running, but there are others there as well. There's Anne Owens, there's Eileen Doherty. There may well be others that we don't know about. Do they have that appeal to the public? Do they have that ability to draw in votes? That's going to get them that seat.
Yeah, just in relation to that, John, I'm interested in your views on it, because there's already a platform there, that has been established through the 100% Micah redress and MAG Facebook pages, etc. So they know they can motivate great numbers of people, as they did in terms of the Dublin protests. There's going to be a lot of, as you say, there's always a core support for Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. But there are going to be those that go, you know what, stuff it, it's time for something different. They might have voted for Sinn Féin but might go now, MAG candidate 1, Sinn Féin 2. I'm just wondering if that were a scenario, and those maybe, that 40-45% that never vote might be motivated to come out and vote for a single issue candidate in inverted commas. So talk to me about, firstly, the disgruntled Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil voter that might have voted for Sinn Féin to, well, listen, let's see what they can do in government. Sinn Féin voters in that Inishowen area, and then those that don't ordinarily vote that might come out and vote. Who does that favour and who does it disadvantage as it relates to the incumbents?
I think there'll be a big flow through of votes between Sinn Féin and the Mica candidate. Now, Sinn Féin will be looking for 3 seats. If you look at the figures from the last time, they actually had enough. They had more than enough seats or votes for 3 seats. They were up there on just 45 plus of the vote. They're about 2,000 short of 3 first quotas. That's a huge amount. I mean, they have 50% of the voting in the Inishowen. Fianna Fáil is down on about 27.5%. Fine Gael's vote has declined very dangerously and very substantially in the Inishowen. Now, the target voting in the Inishowen is that Fianna Fáil vote. If Charlie McConnell's vote there was just over 5,000 the last time. That is a very vulnerable vote. If there's any shake-up on that vote, should he lose 1,000 of that vote, which is pretty possible in the circumstances in the white heat of an election campaign, what happens there? He'd probably lose a seat. At this point, it's much too early to call seats for people to lose or to win, but you can only assume that Fine Gael's 2 seats are pretty safe. Thomas Pringle got there against all the odds the last time with 7% of the vote. Ironically, he got more preferences than he got first.
You said Fine Gael's seats are safe. You mean Sinn Féin seats are safe?
I think Sinn Féin's 2 seats are safe. I'd be very surprised, given the constant run of the opinion polls, that Sinn Féin doesn't find a third candidate, probably in that Finn Valley, Stranraer area, and it'd probably be a female, because you're going to have all these this gender balance type issues insofar as the candidates are concerned amongst the parties. Sinn Féin, probably on the flow that they're on at the moment, would have the ability to take 3 seats. Now, unless the tide turns totally against them and by some miraculous degree of inspiration, Fianna Fáil start kicking their heels and get up over 25%. I mean, on the Red Sea polls, and that's the one we tend to follow, they're down there, they're hanging down there in and around that 15%. And given the fact that Martin is the Taoiseach, they haven't made any real headway on that. I mean, in fact, they've gone backwards in the last 2 years, because they were up at just over 22% on the election day, and they're down now at 15%. So, the whole trend of the thing, it's a good time to be going in there with a new party, a whole new dynamic, and a whole new purpose in life. It'll rejuvenate politics in Donegal. It'll regenerate interest that was waning, because our numbers on election day, the turnout, which used to be up at 66 and 67%, has fallen back to close to 62%. So that hasn't been good. I mean, only 40,000 people voted in Inishowen the last time. Low turnout there, low turnouts in Letterkenny as well. But the whole Mica thing is a very, very different action. It's the first time that we have seen this kind of a crusade, and that's actually what it is. As you said earlier there, any group that can get 30,000 people onto the streets in Dublin on a bad Friday afternoon in October, they have some ability and they have some talent and they have some motivation. But they have a huge drive behind them as well. And they've built up a massive experience.
Right. Well, let's just, maybe the starting point, and it is speculation, of course, that Sinn Féin get 3 over the line, because I don't mean this in any way disrespectful. I just think the way this topic is, I think the Mica Action Group, and I'm open to correction on this, I think south of Letterkenny and west of Letterkenny, I'm not sure how many votes they might get in the county. Now, you know way more about this than I. So I suspect the bulk of the votes to elect someone's going to have to come from, Letterkenny northwards. So who's in and who's out? It's difficult because we don't know who the Fine Gael candidate might be. But I presume for definite, you say Potter McLaughlin and Pierce Doherty should be safe. So focusing then from north of that, do Fine Gael run a candidate in Letterkenny? What would be the consequences of that? What about a running mate for Charlie McConnell? Because obviously they could get him from the areas outside of Letterkenny and ensure they could get him across the line. So just talk me through the possibilities there and who might gain and who might lose out, accepting that maybe Sinn Féin might get 3.
I suppose the reality there of the territory concern is the Mulford, Letterkenny, Inishowen area. That is the old Donegal North East constituency. It'll stretch out a bit further to Creasland, probably into Dunfanny, where there are mica issues. You're talking about this end of Donegal, the northwest, Donegal southwest. Not much word of mica in that area as of yet. I don't think I've heard of many cases, very, very odd, isolated one. So you are talking about that whole area where you have currently, you have Joe McHugh, you have Padraig McLaughlin, very, 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 very prominent there. McLaughlin's seat is going to be as safe as houses, but it's not going to be just as clear cut as that, because to get elected, you're going to have to take votes from outside of that boundary line. Pat the Cope was a huge help to Fianna Fáil the last time. He got a very, very big vote, and were it not for him, there would have been in very dire difficulties, you know. And he just, as I say, he narrowly missed out. Now, I can't see who they're going to get that's going to replace Pat the Cope, that would have the voting power that he has had and have the experience. All the parties are strapped for second candidates, and given that a lot of them will be looking to running female candidates, depending on the gender quotas. But we're going to be talking here about Inishowen, Mulford and Letterkenny, and this is where the real pressure area is coming. This is where mica is at its strongest. And this is where Charlie McConloe must hold his vote and build on it. And this is where he must have a running candidate in the south of the county that's going to help retain that seat. I mean, they have a quota there, and beyond that a little bit. Fine Gael doesn't have a quota. They're a couple of percent, 2.5% short of a quota. They don't have a candidate now. It presents them with a bigger problem than Fianna Fáil. But at the end of the day, will those two parties be sidelined by the electorate on election day? The mood on the street out there would suggest that people are very unhappy with both of those parties.
So could you see 3 Sinn Féin, 1 MAG, 1 Independent?
Yeah.
That seems the logical outcome, doesn't it?
That's possible.
Like,
yeah.
also too, if I were like, I mean, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil need to be building the profiles of whomever is going to run at the moment. I don't see much of that happening. Also, there are a couple of names that you would really, there's a couple of people out there that you could say, right, they're oven ready, persuade them to join the party and run. But would you, at this time, if you had political ambitions, run for Fine Gael or Fianna Fáil, knowing the likelihood is they're not going to be in government and you're probably going to get quite a bit of abuse on the door? I think they might struggle to persuade people to throw the hat into the ring this time, knowing really what the probable outcome might be. Does that make sense?
It makes sense from the point of view of Fianna Fáil. They have 12 councillors, probably all fairly ambitious, all with good profiles, all with good votes at council level. And that'll be tested a year from next May. On the wider political stage, then I don't know who their candidates might be. When you have 12 councillors dotted right across the county, you're in a strong enough position. But are those councillors that you might want to run interested in doing so? And will they pull votes at a general election as opposed to a local election, because a local election is less political? Fine Gael has 4 seats in Donegal, 3 in this constituency. Barry Sweeney is in Sligo Leitrim. They're very thin on the ground. You have Jimmy Kavanagh and Letterkenny. I don't see Jimmy running for election somehow, in a general election. Johnny McGuinness, Martin Harley has said he won't be going again. He said that in the aftermath of Joe McHugh's announcement that he was retiring. So, all in all, Fine Gael is in a much more vulnerable situation because they don't have a lead candidate. I can't see where there is one. The party started just admit very, very quickly that they're in the search to get a candidate, and there's nobody obviously there for them. And I mean, they're 14% of a vote could come under intense pressure, because Martin Harley got that kind of a vote in the Finn Valley that got Joe McHugh over the line. At the end of the day, had that not been the case, Joe McHugh wouldn't have been there. So, it's all very, very much in a huge, big ether of will they not run candidates?
They need to be working on it now, though. Charlie McConnell definitely does run, though. I mean, like, he's probably reached the pinnacle of his political career now. I don't know what Leo Varadkar is going to do when he takes over as leader. Do they reshuffle? I don't know what the story is there. Does Charlie McConnell potentially want to spend, 10 years on the back benches, having been sort of, all over Europe in the forefront of a lot of things? I mean, but with all that considered, I mean, Charlie McConnell does run again.
I presume he will run again. There's no reason that he shouldn't run again. It might be wishful thinking to say that he's not going to get elected. Those who are opposed to him, it's always easier to hold a seat than to win a new seat. He's in there for a long time. Fianna Fáil has a track record in his shown, but his voting in his shown is in a precarious position.
But also, too, we have to factor in. We also factor in the fact that Fianna Fáil and particularly Fine Gael are very strong amongst the farming community, as was laid out in a recent Farmers Journal poll. He has been delivering in terms of peers and other initiatives. And as I said right at the beginning, there is always a core vote there that might not like the way things are, but they are Fine Gael or Fianna Fáil to the core, and they haven't voted for the last couple of elections and might say right now is the time that I need to go out and vote, and you throw all that into the pot, and that's why it's speculation. There's no certainty, John.
Oh, like that's very, very true. But this is this whole new dimension of a candidate from the infected blocks brigade. This is going to be the biggest thing that has happened in Donegal since Neil Brady jumped ship from Fianna Fáil in 1973, and that caused turmoil for a number of elections. But this organisation, their strength is in their numbers. They're dotted all over the northwest. They're very good at meetings. They're also very, very good in promoting their ideals. And they have struck a chord because so many families and so many homes. I mean, even in my own situation, 2 or 3 members of my family have Mike-infected homes. Yeah. And I don't know too many people who don't have. Mm-hmm. So, there's going to be a big, big issue there. I would presume that if Micah is not resolved, and I don't see it being resolved now, I'm just looking at Thomas Pringle on the screen there, and I heard Thomas pleading in the Dáil. Was it yesterday afternoon, Thomas, with the Taoiseach to allow time for this debate, but it's just not happening. The government has just closed their eyes to the Micah crisis in Donegal, and they're steamrolling it right through until it reaches the president's desk next week.
Right, I tell you mentioned Thomas Pringle coming into the call. Can you stay till 10 as well, John? Can you?
I've no bother.
Right,
no.
Both of you stay there if you don't mind, and we'll bring Thomas into the conversation after we take this quick break, which I must take.
If you've got great photos sitting on your phone or in the cloud, why not visit mcgees.ie and see the range of creative options available. Get larger 7x5 prints for the same price as the standard 6x4s, with 100 prints for just €12. Or select from the great range of photo gifts like mouse and placemats, phone covers, jigsaws and clocks. Click and collect or have them delivered. See what you can do with your favourite photos online at mcgees.ie.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Love to grab a bargain? Get in line. Grand Shoes Summer Sale is now on men's, women's and children's shoes and sandals. You'll love the deals on some of our top brands. Skechers, Riker, Clarks and many more. Pop in store to Lower Main Street, Buncrana, or online at grandshoes.com. At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The Northwest Independent Clinic is now Kingsbridge Private Hospital. Yes, we have arrived in Ballykelly, and if you need treatment or surgery, there is no need to wait. At Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest, you will have access to over 300 consultants and hundreds of treatments and services. We are approved by all major insurance companies and self-pay options are available. In fact, treatment could cost less than you think. And with guaranteed 5-star care from treatment right through to your personalised recovery plan, we will be with you every step of the way. So why wait? Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com today.
Okay, just before we go to Thomas Pringle, as you might be aware, there's an investigation ongoing or was ongoing into the purchase of 5 homes in Buncrana. Accusations and claims were made as it relates to how they were purchased. It hasn't been published yet, but my understanding is a report or an investigation has found that there was no wrongdoing in that process. So we'll bring you more on that when the report is actually published. But that's the information I've been given. Right. Good morning, Thomas Pringle. How are you getting on?
Morning, Greg. How's it going?
Not too bad. And just for the record, by the way, both Minister Charlie McConalogue and Deputy Joe McHugh were invited onto the programme today. Both declined, both were unavailable, and both say they were unavailable to vote yesterday. Minister McConalogue said he wouldn't have voted against the government. Joe McHugh said he's campaigning in the background, something along those lines. So this is not one-sided by design. It's just it's who decides to accept the invitation. Right, so your overview of what happened yesterday.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think what happened yesterday was what I expected to happen anyway, unfortunately. And, and I think at least Charlie is honest in what he said, that he would vote with the government. Joe would have voted with the government too if he said there was absolutely no way he would have voted against them. And that's the reality of the situation. And basically, it's all it is at this stage is trying to use the parliamentary procedures and system to actually slow down what the government are doing. Because you'll see today, later on in the debate that will be on the committee stage of the Micah bill, what the government will actually do is I would be shocked and stunned if they accepted any amendments, sadly, at all. And in fact, a lot of the amendments that we'll put forward will be ruled out of order because as opposition TDs, we're not allowed to put forward amendments that could have a potential cost on the state. And so they'll be ruled out of order and we won't even get to debate them.
All right, and there will be a vote though at the end of it. Maybe will there be other votes during the process? Will it be filibustered a wee bit, or what?
Oh yeah, there will be votes. See, the problem is because there's only 2 hours of a debate, and a vote takes about 15 minutes to happen. So there will be very little opportunity.
So if there was no waffle, 8 votes maximum anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And there's politicians there, so there's going to be waffle.
Mm-hmm. Well, you'll be there too, won't you?
Well, I'm class myself as a politician, Greg. So
and a waffler.
It's not a laughing matter for the family.
Yeah, of course it's not. And I think though we all have to see a wee bit of light in this awful darkness as well from time to time. It's not good for democracy. This is it. I mean, this is people watch on, and sometimes a lot of this happens, and you would know, and we don't really pay much attention to it. But when it's something so close to us, we do. It doesn't look good for democracy and how this country operates. Even if you don't like the outcome, it's the process I'm referencing.
Yeah, it's shocking, Greg. Actually, I tweeted a tweet this morning there, which was the Irish Council for Civil Liberties shared a graph last week of showing when bills are passed in Ireland, and in this period in July, when the Dáil only sits for 2 weeks in July. The bills, there will be, I think, 19 bills passed in July, this period, and for there wouldn't have been as many bills passed from January up to June, and that's the reality of the situation. And you have to wonder. I didn't even think it was as stark as what they laid out there, but when I saw the graph, it's shocking, and. It shows you that the political system basically just abdicates its responsibility and hands it over to the bureaucratic system within the departments.
With that in mind, right? Because opposition are promising the sun, the moon, and the stars, and we'll do this, and we'll do that, and we'll do the other. And someone commented yesterday, and interested in your view from the inside, if there's a change of government and the will is there after the next election, do you think, in your view, a correct and fair scheme be put in place?
If there was, Can it be? Yes, it can, because the political system is the system that makes the laws and makes the laws in the Parliament. So if the will is there, and sadly that's a big if, but if the will is there, it can happen. And the only thing I can say in terms of the political system, I mean, if I have anything to do with it, that will be what will happen. Because
do you trust Sinn Féin to follow through on all the promises they've made as it relates to the defective block scandal?
Do I trust any party to deliver with the blocks?
Sinn Féin.
Well, I hope they will. I can't say for definite whether they will or not, and it's not for me to say. And this is the big thing that we've seen. Sadly, we've seen too often in Ireland. Political parties will say one thing in the run up to election and do the exact opposite. Now, whether every political party will continue to do that, I don't know. I can't say. But that is the problem.
Same question to you, John. Do you think a Sinn Féin-led government will fulfil all the promises they've made as it relates to the? Because they say effectively everything that the Mike Action Group and those it represents and those it doesn't represent, that they will pretty much implement everything they want.
I believe they have to do, given the promises that they've made. But until they get in there and meet up with the permanent government and the officials, as you know, Thomas, and get your ideas accepted by the permanent government, that's going to be the biggest part of it, because obviously it's the permanent government that is overruling all of the stuff that's been put through there. You might, I don't know, Thomas, like you probably have a much better idea of this than me, but if Sinn Féin doesn't implement those things, then they're done for. Whether there's going to be money there to do it, what the recession is going to be like, if we're going to have a recession, what inflation is going to be like, all of these things will play into it. I don't see why a new government can't implement those things, as Thomas said. There's no reason that they can't do it. We can make excuses, but like at the end of the day, Thomas, I'm sure that you're reading this much closer than we can. You probably see this legislation being passed with a substantial vote.
Yeah, John, I mean, everybody always talks about the permanent government and stuff like that there, but that's always said by parties in power as an excuse for them not being able to do anything. The reality of the situation is, and we live in a political system, that the politics decides the Dáil decides what the legislation is, and the government decides what legislation is. The so-called permanent government has to go along with it, and that's the reality of the situation.
But they wield incredible power.
They wield incredible power because we give them that
and they've
power.
Been there for they've been there for tens of years. So a lot.
And there is a lot of things that if they can resist, if they resist it within the department, they can slow it.
It does concern me. It does concern me somewhat, Thomas, that in the Department of Health now you have specific officials seemingly making decisions outside of the remit of the government without their permission or understanding. Is that not correct?
But that's because the political system allows them to do that. Yeah, and that's because the political system abdicates its responsibility. Because what we've seen is that politicians are quite happy to cut ribbons and do openings, but not actually don't want to govern. And that's the reality of the situation.
Okay, listen, we could easily do another hour on this. It actually pains me to bring it to a halt. Just in 20 seconds, Thomas, if you don't mind, what do you believe a Mike Action Group candidate does to the political makeup of this county post next election if the status quo in terms of the boundaries and the numbers are maintained?
It's hard to know, Greg. We'll have to see how that develops over time. I think it would have an impact on Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and Independent or Sinn Féin in the Showen, Letterkenny area, and that's the reality of it. So it would make a difference for all of us, really, I suppose. But whether it will actually achieve what they hope to achieve, that remains to be seen. All
right, Thomas Pringle, thanks for your time. I appreciate it as always. Independent Deputy Thomas Pringle. John McAteer, listen, thanks for so much of your time this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Greg.
And the paper's out this evening, isn't it? Where you're going to have more of this.
7 o'clock this evening. You were just referring there to the report being out on the Mikey issue in relation to any shown. We were aware of that last night, and what you said there is quite true. The council officials, they've all been exonerated of any wrongdoing.
All right, listen, thanks for that.
That's good news.
Okay, and that's kind of exclusive news for you we've brought you for this morning. Okay, we'll be back with more after the news at 10. Stay right where you are. Donald Kavanagh is on the way.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. A man's been killed in a collision on the Letterkenny to Derry Road. It happened last night between Newton Cunningham and Manor Cunningham. A section of the N13 remains closed and diversions are in place. With more detail, here's Emma Ryan.
Gardaí say the collision involved 3 cars and occurred at approximately 10 to 11 last night. A man in his early 70s was taken from the scene to Letterkenny University Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased. A man in his 40s was also taken to Letterkenny Hospital to be treated for injuries which are not believed to be life-threatening. No other injuries have been reported. Gardaí are appealing to any person who may have witnessed this collision to contact them and are particularly interested in hearing from anyone with dashcam footage. Anyone with information can contact Letterkenny Garda Station at 074 91 67100, the Garda Confidential line, or any Garda station.
Well, as we've been hearing on the show with Greg this morning, the government is being accused of seeking to bulldoze the new defective blocks bill through the Dáil. This evening, TDs are scheduled to debate the bill for 2 hours and consider as many of the 80 tabled amendments as possible. Once those 2 hours are finished, no more amendments will be considered and the debate will conclude. The defective blocks bill is just one of a number that the government is trying to get through before the summer recess next week. With more details on that, here's Sean Defoe.
The defective blocks bill for families impacted by mica and pyrite is one of the bills going through the Dáil tonight, with just 2 hours for amendment and passing stages. Another bill to do with the retention of phone data in the wake of the Graham Dwyer case is also expected to be passed after just 45 minutes of final stage debate. This bill had a much shorter than usual scrutiny process, and privately some members of the Oireachtas Justice Committee fear it could get serious criminals off the hook if holes in the law haven't been adequately found before it's passed. Other bills tonight include one to make it easier for the Department of Education to force a school to create special education places, and a bill to eliminate paediatric inpatient charges. Opposition parties say the government is curtailing proper scrutiny and trying to ram through new laws before taking summer holidays. The Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, meanwhile, has said there would have been more time for legislating if the opposition hadn't spent the year tabling frivolous Dáil motions.
The UK bill on the Northern Ireland Protocol will be debated in the European Parliament. Today, MEPs will discuss the proposed bill, which passed the second reading stage in the House of Commons last month. If passed, it would allow the UK government to unilaterally ignore EU-UK arrangements for Northern Ireland after Brexit. It could potentially risk a trade war between the two blocs. West Midlands MEP Chris McManus says the debate on the bill is long overdue.
Parliament needs to come together in one voice during this debate and show that there's unanimity amongst us, standing shoulder to shoulder with the wider EU institutions and with Commissioner Šefčovič in regards to their dealings with the British and how they're manhandling the whole issue of the Irish Protocol.
Almost 1 in 3 parents are getting into debt because of back-to-school costs. The latest survey from the Irish League of Credit Unions shows parents are spending €1,518 on secondary school children and €1,195 on those at primary school. It comes as the back-to-school allowance is set to increase by €100 with school transport fees being waived. Karen Kiernan, the CEO of One Family, which represents lone parents, doesn't believe the measures go far enough.
They simply don't have enough money and they're being squeezed in terms of the cost of living increases, their electricity bills, and trying to get their children minded for the summer, maybe try to find a summer camp they can afford. There's just, and as well as food, the cost of food.
And the Housing Minister says he's confident the government can reverse the decline in home ownership rates. It follows new ESRI research, which finds the number of 25 to 34-year-olds who own their own home has more than halved since 2004, falling from 60% to just 27% in 2019. The study also finds retirees are more likely to live in poverty in years to come, as the number of people in that age cohort renting is set to increase. Minister Darragh O'Brien says the government is set to introduce measures tomorrow which will help first-time buyers get on the property ladder.
We have over probably 10-15 years been seeing a decline in home ownership rates, and we need to reverse that decline. I'm confident we can do that. A lot of that is down to supply. Thankfully this year we've seen the largest amount of housing commencements since 2011. Tomorrow I'll be announcing the first home shared equity, which will be able to bridge the gap for people between the finance they have, so the mortgage approval they may have and their savings, and the finance that they need by the state taking that equity.
Looking at the weather forecast, the Met Éireann saying today that there's likely to be warm temperatures across much of the country tomorrow and Friday into the weekend and into next week. However, they are warning that the coolest temperatures will be in west and northwestern areas. For today, they say the temperatures will hit 15 to 16 degrees Celsius, but it will be cloudy or overcast with some light rain or drizzle at times. Some dry periods as well, with the worst of the wet weather to be experienced in Donegal. Moderate to fresh westerly winds today. Those winds strong in coastal areas, but they will ease this evening. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, good morning. The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, the 6th of July. The death has taken place of Claire Traynor, née Devine, 256 Ailes Narrow Road, Dunnamana, formerly of 93 Holyhill Road, Glenmornan. Her remains are reposing at her home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 20 to 12 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Ahabrack at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to the MS Society, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. Family time, please, from 11 o'clock tonight. Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the Donaghadee Parish YouTube channel. The death has taken place of Patrick Patsy Keeney, Leeds, England, and formerly of Kilrain, Glenties. Patsy will be received into Immaculate Heart of Mary Church, Leeds, on tomorrow week, the 14th of July at 6:45, reposing overnight. Requiem Mass on Friday, July 15th at 12 noon, followed by burial in Killingbeck Cemetery. Family flowers only, please, with donations if desired to St Gemma's Hospice, Leeds. The funeral mass will be streamed online. The death has occurred of Michael O'Boyle, Curhamone Ballabafay, formerly of Cloughmore, Achill Island, County Mayo. Funeral from his late residence at 10:30 tomorrow morning, travelling via Drumbo Avenue and St Columba's College for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock in the Church of Mary Immaculate, Stranraer, with cremation afterwards at Lakelands Crematorium in Cavan. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. The house is private. And the death has taken place of Helena Devlin, née Bradley, formerly of Convent Road, Carndonagh. Her remains are reposing at her late mother's residence at Moss Road, Carndonagh. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 11 in the Church of the Sacred Heart, Carndonagh, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. House private, please, from 10 o'clock tonight. Family and close friends only, please, before the funeral tomorrow. Family flowers only, donations if desired to Oncology Research, Galway University Hospital, care of Pat Kelly, Funeral Director, or any family member. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Away wins from Cadbury FC. You can win a family trip and go away with Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City, Man United or Tottenham Hotspur. Search Cadbury Away Wins for details and a chance to score. T&Cs apply. Visit awaywins.cadburyfc.com.
A massive summer footwear clearance sale is now on in McGarrigle Shoes, Letterkenny. All sandals and other summer footwear must go, with up to 50% off. Don't miss out on great savings right now in McGarrigle Shoes, Main Street, Letterkenny.
The moment you got told the good news.
Rob, you made the panel.
When the lads added you into the group. Skipping nights out, missing the crack. Rewatching classics and learning new tricks. Being driven to the biggest game of your life by your mam. And then you finally come on in the 51st minute. It's the minor moments that last a lifetime. The Electric Ireland GAA Minor Championships. This is major.
Attention all pet lovers and owners. Gary's Pet World Letterkenny is open 7 days per week, offering the very best value on all pet foods, accessories, grooming and care products. Call in and let our staff help you spoil your pet today. You will be amazed by the range of product for all pets, with exceptional value on all leading brands. Alternatively, you can browse and buy online at petworld.ie and we will deliver to your home.
Breedon's Furniture, Cooley-Maville. With over 40 years of experience in furniture and floor coverings, they've got Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining, flooring, slide robes and occasional furniture. Great prices and large selection now available at Breedon's Home Furnitures, Cooley-Maville.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Your bingo numbers are coming up for you very, very shortly. Just to read some of your comments right now. Mary Lude said it would take at least 2 terms to sort out the country, but we want this done instantly. Okay, right, thank you very much for that. If comes to the President signing, then the protest should be outside Arsenukdaran. I'm not sure what difference that would make, but I do understand exactly where you're coming from. That's happened before. It happened before over the last couple of years. Why not answer the question, will Sinn Féin follow through? Is that as it relates to the question I put to Thomas Pringle, a former Sinn Féin member? He doesn't speak on behalf of Sinn Féin. I think I can pretty much deduce from how he answered the question that he'd be sceptical, hopeful but sceptical. I'm not affected by Micah, but I'd vote for any Micah rep that would stand. Another caller says, we don't have a government, it's only a small number of people making rules. Tell Charlie McConnell that me and my extended family will not be available for Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael when it comes to the next general election. We have been Fianna Fáil members for as long as I can remember, says a caller. My father supported them for decades. We were disgusted with Charlie McConnell. No matter what they had arranged, he should be prioritising last night. It was a major vote. Sitting TDs in the government and they're not representing the Fianna Fáil people of Donegal are slapping the face, and he should be asked to leave the party. If I was Fine Gael, I'd feel the exact same about Joe McHugh. That's an unhappy Fianna Fáil vote there. Greg, isn't there an onus on the President to not sign the Micah bill into law? Has such a situation ever occurred before? Coming in from Sean, I'm not sure what precedent is there or what his remit might be or what he might do. There are some concerns that over the constitutionality of the new bill. Maybe it could be referred to have that reviewed. I'm not a political anorak. That's why we get people like John McAteer and others on to the programme, because they really know their stuff. But I didn't see that question whilst people were on. Hi, Greg. Not a hope in hell will I be listening to the government about wearing a mask this winter. Never did and never will. Okay, that's completely up to you. I'm not trying to convince you one way or other. Another caller says, I don't think that poor girl in Kilkenny should have got any prison time for what she did. We can all sit in judgment, but for the grace of God go I. She hid her pregnancy from her family for fear of repercussions. She didn't even confide in her doctor. She regrets something she did in a comment of extreme panic and personal trauma. Time in prison, however short, will not heal the lifelong pain and regret for what happened. Okay. And lastly, just before we take those bingo numbers for you, Thomas, you are a very genuine politician and are honest and tell us the truth. We need more independent politicians with the ethics of Mr Pringle and Michael Healy-Rae and Kerry. We need more politicians the same. Sinn Féin don't want to be in government. That's why they can make all these promises knowing they wouldn't have to keep them. I'm sure Sinn Féin are very keen to get into government. It's a difficult time to be taken over, though, with everything that's going on. You could say legacy stuff, but also the fact that we're likely going to be going through a recession, if not by name, certainly in every other. It'll feel like that, I imagine, anyway. Right, okay. We're going to come back to more of your comments, but I do want to take these bingo numbers. I know a lot of you are waiting for them.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, July the 6th. You're playing on a blue coloured sheet. The reference number is S13. It's game number 27. The numbers are 41, 83, 80, 37, 21, 86, 18, 45, 63 and 23. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 p.m. tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book. Get all your NCBI Radio Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
We love love summer at Dunnes Stores with 20 varieties of fruits and vegetables, all only 49 cents each every week. Think creamy avocados for delicious guacamole, zingy passion fruit on refreshing yogurt, crunchy peppers in vibrant salads, courgettes spun into spaghetti, and skewers packed with flavoursome veggies. Plus, with our 10/50 grocery voucher, you save even more, which means every trip to Dunnes Stores means better value. Dunnes Stores, always better value.
Don't miss All Folked Up live at O'Flaherty's Buncrana this Saturday. That's All Folked Up live in Buncrana this Saturday. Tickets available from eventbrite.ie.
Foy & Company are offering amazing discounts on a great selection of display sofas with up to 50% off a range of 2-seater, 3-seater and corner sofas in a choice of colours and styles. If you're getting a new suite of furniture, don't miss the big display sofa clearance sale on now while stocks last at Foy & Company in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet and online at foys.ie.
Travelling soon? Get your travel money completely, securely sorted with An Post Money. Both your cash and a handy currency card, a 24/7 card helpline and emergency cash if you lose your card abroad. So you're always sorted, whether you're here...
The next station is London Bridge.
...or here... or thousands of other places worldwide. Get your travel money sorted with An Post Money. Visit anpost.com or your local post office. T's and C's apply. An Post Money currency card is issued by PPS EUSA, pursuant to licence by MasterCard International. PPS EUSA is authorised by the National Bank of Belgium and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
Visit Oakfield Park this Thursday the 7th and enjoy the first Teddy Bears picnic since 2019. This famous event is one of Oakfield Park's most popular, and you can join in anytime between 12 and 5. Bring your teddy and meet the Oakfield Bears, Peppa Pig, Winnie the Pooh, Tigger and friends. Visit the Teddy Bears Hospital and have your bear scanned and receive an Oakfield Health Cert. There'll be outdoor games, crafts, gummy bear hunts, nature walks and train rides all day long. No booking fee, no pre-booking is necessary and normal gate fees apply. See you for the Teddy Bears picnic this Thursday at Oakfield Park, Rafo.
Okay, progress on the Downings Carrigart walkway is going to be discussed at next Tuesday's council meeting, if any work gets done at that meeting. Hopefully it does. Councillor Liam Blaney is going to be raising the issue. He joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you, Liam.
Good morning, Greg.
Good to have you on. Right, so tell us what's proposed and where we're at, just for those news to the story, Liam.
Well, the last time I was talking to you, maybe about 6 weeks ago, I told you that I had got a motion passed at the Municipal District meeting that the Outdoor Recreational Infrastructure Scheme, which is known as ORIS, that I had identified that as a funding stream or a funding source for funding the footpath from Carrigart to Downings. And there was the largest application that you can make is for a 500,000 one, which was what they call a Measure 3. There's 3 different measures in it. A Measure 3, and there's one of them got for the county every year. And thankfully, since I was talking to you, the council has made that application for the footpath from Carrigart to Downings. For that 500,000 plus there's Measure 2s as well for 200,000, and for one of the 200,000 as well.
So what is proposed between the two towns, villages? Is it a footpath on the side of the road, or is it walkway or cycleway adjacent to the road?
That's a footpath.
Okay.
That's a footpath that's proposed for it. There was problems on getting the footpath there. It went on board from Nala, and I've come back again on the
the application was the application was incomplete, if I'm not mistaken.
Planning. Aye, and it was completed, and Board from Nala passed it, and it's passed for a footpath, joining both down as far as what would be known locally as the pavilion. There was a footpath comes out from Downings out to that the local people down there, the local landowner down there, put a footpath out to as far as the pavilion, and this is going to meet up with it. Which is it's a long stretch of a footpath, and will connect the two towns. And you know yourself, it's like down in the summertime, the amount of people is using that road, walking and cycling, and at least it'll help take the pedestrians off the road and then make it safer for those going to use that.
Right, so it's good for tourists, it's good for locals as well. So when do you hope then that work will start on it, or when do you hope that the funding will be approved, or what's the situation?
I have a question now for the Municipal District meeting on Tuesday to see when to expect that the funding may be announced, if the department deems it suitable for that funding. and I'm hoping that it will be announced maybe by the end of the summer or very, very shortly after that. But going on past experience, I've asked them when do they believe that maybe the funding may be announced for it, or that any successful projects has applied for funding may be announced. So I'm hoping to get a reply there for it, and I'm hoping that it won't be too long after the end of the summer, and possibly works will start before the end of the year on it.
Right, so
that would be my hope on it.
Summer 2023.
That'll be completed before summer 23.
All right, okay. And is it just that pathway? Is there other money for general footpaths in Carrigot and Downings, or are we focusing on that?
No, well, you see, it's a long bit of footpath, and it's taking a lot of money to do it.
Yeah.
And there's what they call active travel as well, and I'm hoping that there's going to be an application put on for active travel as well for the remainder of what they believe it may cost for the footpath from the town of Carrigot out as far as the speed limit of the bridge there on the way down to Downings, the Bursby Bridge. I suppose that active travel only covers within town limits or within speed limits, so that's as far as we can go with that one. But I'm hopeful that between the three applications that's been made, that there'll be sufficient funding there to complete the footpath all the way.
All right, brilliant stuff. All right, good news. Thanks very much for the update, Liam. I appreciate it. That's Councillor Liam Blaney, for those of you in the Carrigot Downings area, or those of you who might be listening who tend to visit there. Right, 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and texts to that number, 086 60 25,000, or call us on 074 91 25,000.
Paddington is in your McDonald's Happy Meal, discovering what he could be, like a magician or a chef, an artist or an astronaut. You can be whatever you choose with Paddington, and don't forget you can choose between a book or toy. Some fun, some food, it's all inside this Happy Meal. Until the 2nd of August, subject to availability from 11 a.m. Includes choice between book or toy, but not the specific range or range item. Supply issues may arise. Check mcdonalds.ie/Happy Meal for changes.
McDade's Bathroom, Plumbing and Tiles, serving the Northwest for over 40 years. Explore our showroom with more than 40 displays. Choose from an array of shower doors, shower trays, baths and bathroom accessories. Speak with an expert about tile selection and wall paneling. We also stock an array of plumbing, heating and stove spare parts, as well as a great selection of kitchen mixers and radiators at our trade counter. Our stove department is also available for you to choose a style that suits your needs and complements your home. McDade's Bathroom, Plumbing, Tiles, Buncrana. We're here for you.
This is not just a pizza night, this is an M&S pizza night with the €14 meal deal. Choose 2 pizzas and 2 sides to create the perfect combination for the family to share. €14 pizza meal deal, now at M&S. Offer on selected products, see in store for details.
Experience everything this summer has to offer here at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, with a wide range of shops and services packed with great choice and value for you to explore. You can enjoy free parking, Wi-Fi and take a break with our popular outdoor seating area. Letterkenny Shopping Centre. We can't wait to see you.
123 212 321? No, 222 is the magical 3-digit number plate for July. iMotors have Kia and Nissans available for immediate delivery. If you're thinking of changing your car or upgrading, make sure to call in to us today in Letterkenny or Malin, or visit our website imotors.ie.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Donegal encapsulates everything that makes the Wild Atlantic Way unique, from our sandy blue flag beaches to our rugged mountains. If you're visiting Donegal this summer, play your part in making sure our beautiful county is preserved and protected. Manage your waste responsibly by using local waste collection services, local bring banks for glass and cans, and local recycling centres for a wide range of waste and recycling facilities. Play your part to support local communities in Donegal that work tirelessly year-round to keep Donegal beautiful. For more information, visit donegalcoco.ie. Donegal County Council, protecting your environment.
Now we welcome on to the programme Alison Hegarty, General Manager of Home Instead in Donegal. Good morning to you, Alison.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks for joining us. Okay, right. Now, talk to us about your nomination and the winner of the Home Instead 2022 Ulster Caregiver of the Year Award.
Okay, Greg, so our Ulster Caregiver of the Year for 2022 is Mary Sweeney. Mary is from Letterkenny and has worked with us for over 4 years. She herself currently provides care to 15 clients in Donegal, including Letterkenny, Ballybofey and the surrounding areas. Mary is also a qualified Alzheimer's carer. We nominated Mary for this award because she's devoted to her clients. She gives the best care possible. She's great empathy and compassion and is a kind, warm-hearted person. Her colleagues at Homestead, as well as her clients, supported her nomination and described her as one of the most reliable and professional caregivers that we have. Someone who's valuable and trusted with her colleagues and whose compassion and sensitivity to others enables clients to feel free and at ease and reassured all the time.
All right, okay.
And it was high quality.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Greg.
Yep. I was going to say, sorry, there's a slight delay on this line, Alison. What I was going to say is that there would be a lot of people very worthy of this award. So it takes someone special to stand out amongst a special group of people.
Yeah, currently we have 154 caregivers all over Donegal, and they're absolutely fabulous in their own right as well, giving care to people, and so they can remain living in their own home for as long as possible. But Mary, we send out nominations to our clients and to the caregivers to nominate a caregiver that they think is worthy of this cause, and that's why Mary got this award.
Can you talk to us? I think you have already talked to us a little bit about the role of a carer, a community carer, or a carer in the community.
Okay, so our caregivers provide a range of services to clients to help them continue to live an independent life at home. So this may vary from client to client. So it could include companionship, meal preparation, light housework, personal care, dementia care, and more. And the other services that we do in Homestead is we look after physical and sensory users and disability, and we also do private care. And we do a lot of range of services.
Yeah, and I mean it's obviously a very rewarding job, but there's a lot of pressure on the job too, isn't there? I mean, it's a tough job.
Oh yes, especially in these COVID times. You know, I suppose what makes a good caregiver in terms of qualities people bring to the job, they need to be compassionate, trusting, reliable, and sensitive to the needs of the clients. Our caregivers probably come from all sorts of backgrounds and all sorts of work. You know, some of them may have a background in caring for their own family members. Others would work different in healthcare settings, and we have like students that are doing nursing roles at the moment that have joined Homestead to get the experience.
All right. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up, Alison?
Just, I suppose, a bit other good news is we're actually recruiting for another 50 caregivers all over Donegal. So anyone that's interested, if they could contact the office or go onto our website, homestead.ie.
What qualifications, if any, does someone require to become a professional carer?
We actually would train them up. We would do their practical skills, manual handling. We do everything for them. So the contact office, our HR and training team will take them through.
All right, brilliant stuff. Thank you very much indeed. That was Alison Hegarty, GM of Home Instead in Donegal. A caller says, all these TDs leaving, having meetings about houses, why don't they come around to people's houses and see how we have to live? They'll be going on holiday shortly and they won't care about anyone then. I mean, in fairness, the politicians are of the community as well, and I suppose some of them are going to have homes that are affected by this or have family members, so they probably have an understanding of it. So I'm not sure if them visiting these houses would change their view or their voting patterns. It doesn't seem to have heretofore in certain cases in any case.
Inishowen Credit Union has recently launched Cultivate, an agricultural loan at only 6.55%, APR 6.75%. Call any of their 4 offices for more information or to make an appointment. Inishowen Credit Union, Buncrana, Carndona, Moville and Muff, supporting local farmers. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Give your vegetables the best start possible with Veggie Mix from Gortley Sales and Hire. Veggie Mix is weed-free for 3 years and is perfect in a raised bed, polytunnel or to improve your soil. Veggie Mix at Gortley Sales and Hire, Letterkenny.
Sheridan Security now introducing Zero Wire Smart Alarm Systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
The wait is over. Chris Norman, the original voice of Smokey, plays Lennon Festival Ramelton on the 9th of July. Hear Chris and his band playing all the hits. Oh Carol, Mexican Girl, Don't Play Your Rock and Roll to Me, Alice, plus many more hits. Tickets on sale from universe.com and local outlets. For full details, follow Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook. That's Chris Norman and his band, presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
This summer, make some magical memories with family and friends at the Northwest's biggest adventure water park and inflatable assault course at the Shorefront Mayville with Inish Adventures. There's a whole world of fun waiting for you this summer. Kayaking, paddleboarding, banana boating, storm rides, sailing. Perfect for birthday parties, hen or stag parties, or a great family day out. Plus a cafe on site. For more details, call Inish Adventures Mayville or online at inishadventures.com.
Okay, coming up in this hour, we're going to be getting an insight from St. Vincent de Paul as it relates to the impact the cost of living is having on people. Because I think it's very important that we don't forget that not everyone, maybe some people listening, they're comfortable at the moment, they've got a bit of wiggle room. There's an awful lot of people and a growing number of people, unfortunately, who simply are struggling to cope. So I want to get an insight and an understanding of that by speaking to Cormac McCormick, who is of the SVP. That's coming up shortly for you as well. We're going to be talking about the surprising for some, refusal of council housing in Buncrana. That's coming up a little later as well. But what we're going to do is going to take a little break for a breather and take some music. We'll be right back. This is The Police. Okay, that is the police every breath you take. Okay, now, a new report shows that soaring fuel prices and government policy are unequally affecting people living in rural Ireland and those on low incomes. The report by Grant Thornton has found that increases in fuel prices disproportionately hit people on low incomes and rural dwellers with limited public transport options. That's just part of it. We've got longer often to go to our shops. We're perhaps more likely to live in houses that are reliant on oil or solid fuel, maybe even older houses. There's an awful lot going on here, and we're facing into bills, of course, with back to school and every other thing that's ongoing. Cormac McCormick is Letterkenny Area President of SVP. He's a volunteer with that organisation and joins us now. Good morning, Cormac.
Good morning, Greg. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
No, it's important to get us a fuller picture of what's going on as possible. So, I mean, are you seeing a trend here? Are you seeing more people requiring help? Are you seeing those who needed help finding themselves slipping further into poverty?
Yes, Greg, we are. And the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, say SVP, has expressed significant concern for families already on the brink as prices rise. Just to put it in context, the latest consumer price index from the Central Statistics Office shows that prices rose by nearly 80% up to May. And that is staggering because that is the largest increase in almost 38 years. So that is serious. SVP recorded 78,000 calls for help so far this year, and that's 20% or 1/5 of an increase over this time last year. The rising cost of living is pushing more and more families into poverty, no doubt about that. We know of countless examples of people across the country unable to heat their homes and feed and care for their families. The cost of living measures provided so far have helped and given people temporary relief, but people on low and fixed incomes were already on the brink, battling a rising tide of high rents, growing bills, often juggling health conditions and
I presume the reason for that, Cormac, is that for many prior to this inflationary environment we're in at the moment, were out of money by the time they had paid their bills. And these are working people as well. It's all different types of people. By the time they'd paid their bills, they were left with nothing. There was no disposable income there. There was no money to put away for savings. There was no money there for treats. And as the cost of living comes up, you cannot take money from a pot that's simply not there. And that's what drags people into the position where they need to go to the likes of the SVP for support.
Yes, that's right, Greg. And a lot of people are surviving and they're going along and everything is going okay. And excuse the term, one wheel falls off the wagon and the whole lot is gone pear-shaped. And there's no doubt about it. And data has shown from the likes of the ESRI or the central bank that there is a disproportionate impact of rising prices on low-income households, no doubt about that. And rural, I mean, we're in Letterkenny, but we're still rural. So the cost of diesel or transport or whatever has a larger impact, and that came through in the Thornton report that you quoted there. If you don't mind me saying, we feel in St. Vincent de Paul that it's critical that the upcoming budget directs resources towards people on low and fixed incomes. Otherwise, more people will be pulled into poverty, and those already struggling to get by will be pushed even further into hardship.
Because we are in the middle of July or the 6th of July here now. Obviously, look, the weather's not fantastic, but it is the summer. It is milder. It is the time of year where we expect to maybe not have to put the heating oil on as much or buy as much coal. What's happening now, though, is we're heading towards the back to school period where people have to find money for that, as I mentioned. And then the oil tank, they're going to have to look at that. They're going to have to look at buying coal, and the prices have gone through the roof. So as bad as we are now, and I don't want to be a doom monger, but this is inescapable. For a lot of people, as bad as it is now, we are really facing into a winter of discontent for thousands of Donegal families.
I agree, Greg. I agree. I honestly feel there's a tsunami coming towards us. Fuel costs have risen. For example, a bag of coal is nearly €40 now. Electricity costs have shown double-digit increases. There are going to be huge budgeting challenges for family with heating their homes, as you say, once we move in towards the winter. Increased food costs. And one of the big things for families is that the back-to-school costs will now begin. From memory, a primary school student, you're talking about just over €900 is the cost for a family for one primary school student, and it's about 1,170 or something like that for a secondary school student. So that's going to begin. The winter months will be a challenge. There's no doubt about that.
As you mentioned, whatever the government do, it has to be targeted. Listen, lots of people perhaps don't need €200 off their next electricity bill, for an example. But there are lots of people who would benefit greatly from it being 300. And we have the tools, we have the mechanisms, we have the information to know who needs the help most. We just need, do we not, the government to properly target where this money goes. That is available, clearly.
Very good point, Greg. The cost, the extra allowance that we're all going to get, the 200 or whatever it be, it's estimated that is going to cost in the region of 300 million. If that 300 million was put into primary and secondary schools, there would be no cost of education. That would cover it all. So, that's worth considering. But just on your point as regards what the government needs to do and the budget and all that, it's grand saying there's going to be 5, 10, whatever, 20% increase in social welfare, but unless that at least matches inflation or exceeds it, it's not worth. This really is no good. Any increases have to match inflation, and as I said, it's running at 8% at the moment.
But unfortunately, it probably won't, and with interest rates increasing, that actually puts more of a squeeze on. So in other words, we would struggle to even stand still for many people, let alone improve their situation.
Yes, and we have a worry as well, Greg, that we'll say for education, that every child has to be educated and everybody wants their child educated and all that, and it is a cost. And we would have a worry, and the credit unions, for example, would also share that worry of people going to other places for money, whether it be money lenders or credit cards. The amount of people that would use credit cards to pay for their education and then have a massive bill that has to be.
See, it's very like I struggle in that it is well within the government's gift to alleviate an awful lot of these costs. They will say, look, we announced yesterday that school bus fees are being scrapped. That will save people €500. I'm not sure yet, and I haven't been able to find out if that's all school buses, i.e. Private bus operators in Donegal. Does that apply? Because, obviously, again, we'll be hitting another cohort already hard-pressed with a bill that a lot of other people don't have to pay.
I'm not 100% sure on that either, Greg. I know there's it's there for a year. And I presume it's across the board, and there's €100 increase in the back-to-school allowance as well.
But again,
is some help.
The threshold for that is very, very narrow, and there's an awful. I think one example I heard that if you have one child and the family income is over €630 you don't qualify for that. Now, a lot of the people contacting SVP would be people earning maybe $700 a week with a child and other responsibilities, petrol costs, fuel costs. They could do with this back to school allowance, but currently,
of course they could.
They don't qualify for it.
No, it is very tight. Greg, you're preaching to the converted here.
Yeah, okay. I don't wish to be preaching, but I know what you're saying.
No, you're not preaching. I agree with you. I very much agree with you. It is. The budget in one house will go a hell of a lot further than the budget in another house. There's no doubt about that. It depends on a person's circumstances. all we can do and try and help. And if you don't mind me just giving a bit of an example, or not a bit of an example, a bit of an advertisement, if you like, of what, if people are on here listening, which of course they are, anybody who needs help, please do, whether it be rural, town, whatever, please do contact us at the easiest way is at svp.ie, and we will then be passed on to the local area. So I would ask people not to be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes that happens, Greg, that people just don't ask. We would love to get to the people who don't ask, and that is a huge difficulty for us.
Yeah, but obviously it costs more to help people now than it ever has. So how are SVP resourced at the moment? Is the money there? What kind of help can you offer people if they reach out? We have people have been very good to us, Greg. There's no doubt about that. That the people in Donegal have been very, very good to us with online donations. And one thing, if you like, we are struggling at the moment for is volunteers. I would ask people to consider volunteering for SVP. It's not an onerous task. It's a it can be as many hours or as little hours as you want in the week, but that is something that we do need. And also, as regards help, a lot of our income comes from our shops in Donegal, and we have very, very successful shops in Donegal. I'm used to Letterkenny. So that's important, and we would ask people maybe during the summer to go into the wardrobe and clear out all those clothes that they're not using, or bric-a-brac or whatever, and please give them as donations to our shops, because the income we get for that is spent locally and used locally to help our people in Donegal. And that's a really important point that you make, because not everyone themselves have the money to donate to charities, because a lot of people are struggling, as we've been talking about here, and they might feel like that they're okay, but they just don't have anything spare. You can do a great job and help greatly by, as you say, rooting out the wardrobe, which I'm told is actually really very good for your emotional well-being. By the way, it's really quite effective for that. But also, too, as you mentioned, in volunteering, it's great for a CV if you're job hunting or if you're thinking of switching jobs. But it's also often, for the most part, a cost-neutral way that someone can make a very generous donation to their community.
Yes, very much so. And look, you're helping people, and there's a personal satisfaction in that too. And people do say, "Oh, I wouldn't be able for that," or whatever. I wouldn't worry about that. There's a role for everybody, and we do obviously provide training. Everybody has to be Garda vetted and all that, but I mean, we do provide training. So we have, whether it be volunteering to work in our shops or on our visitation conferences or whatever, we're always looking for people, and it would be wonderful to get a few more,
Right. Well, hopefully
the reason being that as we approach this winter, we're probably going to need more volunteers, Greg.
Yeah, well, hopefully the government do everything they can to help those that need it the most. There's an awful lot of wealthy people here that perhaps if they were asked might be prepared to contribute, but a lot of the time they're not asked to contribute by way of contributing more in tax and what have you. Also, just to reiterate the point, to use the words, and I don't think they're appropriate, but they might make more sense, is don't be too proud or ashamed, I think was the word also Cormac used. That's to contact St. Vincent de Paul. You can, when you're back on your feet, you can start contributing to them. That's what they're there for. They're there to help people in need. And I don't think you, Cormac, or anyone else with SVP would want people you can help sitting at home worrying and not picking up that phone or not sending in that email to seek that help. As I say, if they want to pay it back down the line through their own generosity, that's fine. But don't be too proud, or there's no shame in seeking help. That's what you're there for.
Not at all, Greg. We want people contacting us, and we want to be able to help them in a most non-judgmental way from our point. And we are trained to chat to people and I think when people make the initial contact and that's done, they feel so much better after that, and the rest is hopefully smooth.
Right,
Smooth road.
Cormac, listen, thanks for all your time. I appreciate it, and I hope it reaches people and they get the message, whether they can help or whether they need help. Either way, SVP is where they need to go. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much, Greg. And if you don't mind me saying, many thanks to Highland Radio. They're always a huge support to St. Vincent de Paul, and we really appreciate that. So thank you very much.
And it'll continue, obviously, well into the future. Thank you very much indeed. Cormac McCormack there.
This weekend, the Northwest Donegal Vintage Club will host their vintage show at their new location of Kildunfanaghy, with classic and vintage cars, tractors, other vehicles and agricultural implements. Craft and artisan displays all welcome. There's also a fun fair, tea tent and trader stalls. Traders must call 087 2366 924. On Sunday, there's music with Alex and Sinead Black, Hugh McLean and John James. Enjoy a great day for all the family this Saturday and Sunday at Kildunfanaghy.
This week at Super Value we have great summer garden offers like a 3-burner barbecue with cover and tool set, only €150, RRP €325, portable wood pellet pizza oven, only €95, RRP €199, and get new weekly money off vouchers on the Real Rewards app. For great offers, it's got to be Super Value.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor now offers a wide range of skin boosters. The injectable moisturiser for under eyes that improves dark circles, fine lines and wrinkles. Also treating the face, neck, chest and hands. This amazing treatment works from the inside out, resulting in brighter, smoother, plumper skin. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. You can download the Genesis app or call 07495 32575.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto Jackpot is an estimated €2.5 million. Play responsibly in store, in app, or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Summer garden offers you won't want to miss this weekend at your local Homeland. Peru Rocking Garden Chair $199, save €100. Omega 200 Gas Barbecue $179, save €50. Available in store and online at homeland.ie from Friday the 8th to Sunday the 10th of July, only while stocks last.
Okay, our focus on Wellness Wednesday is going to be your hair, your scalp, whatever it might be. Patrick Gilday is going to be in studios with us after 11 o'clock. So maybe there's an issue with your hair that you want a little bit of advice on. Maybe you've got a special event coming up. You want to know what's in or on trend. Maybe you are sick and tired with how your hair looks now and you want to try something different. What is achievable? What is manageable? Patrick Gilday, he knows all the answers. He doesn't fudge a question. He's going to be answering them for you after 11 o'clock. So get them into us now, because what happens is, and I know I do repeat myself at times, but as soon as our guest joins us, then we get a flood of comments, which is fantastic as well, by the way, questions, sorry. And then the time runs out and I can't get to them all. So I want to make sure that any questions you have, now, you know, Patrick Gilday is across all things hair. So it's not just about styling and all that kind of stuff. It's maybe you have issues with your hair or anything. You know the story yourself. So if you get your questions into me, I promise I will get them answered for you. WhatsApp or text them in to 08660 25000. So it's your hair care, your hairstyle, hair questions, 08660 25000. Or give us a call on 07491 25000. And look, if you want to put your question directly to Patrick, we can do that for you as well. You can have a quick chat with him here with us on air as well. So your WhatsApps and text to Patrick Gilday on your hair questions. That's our Wellness Wednesday this week. 08660 25000. Or if you want to give us a call, it's 07491 25000. A caller says, any wonder us carers are struggling? We can't get fuel allowance. We are told we are respite payment to heat our homes and pay for taxis. €124 a week carers allowance for a living in carer. Unfortunately, this is just not formatted correctly. But this caller says we should, as living carers, get €100 a week more. They tell us we save the country millions and have us living in poverty then. Okay, thank you. That's not the texter's fault, by the way, but the text machine has jumbled the words together. So, but thank you very much. We got the thrust of your point there. I'm stopping smoking and a glass of wine once a week. We can change and prioritise the money is saved for heating or food. Some people would need to help change. That comes in from Kathleen, who, I suppose, Kathleen, we can't presume people aren't either, you know. I don't think people are in poverty but are having pizzas every night and going to the pub and are on the way back from Lanzarote. I think, you see, there's different people in different situations. There are those that have there are those that are well off, okay, and can absorb any increases. Their standard of life might slip a little bit, but they can absorb them. They will survive. They'll keep the roof over their head. Then there is a group of people that are working away or not flat out, right, and they are running out of money on a Thursday or a Wednesday when payday's on Friday, but maybe they can still just get through. Maybe they're cutting back on a glass of wine or stopping smoking, and that gets them to Friday for now. And then there's another group of people, and we have more of them in this county than anywhere else in the country, who are already don't have enough money to feed and clothe their children properly, to heat their home, or to get to work, or to get to the hospital for appointments, or whatever it might be. And I don't think anyone is, or very, very few people, that's the majority of people. There's very few people, right, have got their hands out and are loaded and doing very well. That is something that maybe you might say, but I know a person that's exactly the situation. One person maybe. Or as well as that, there are those who want to see us fighting amongst ourselves that might be inclined to spread that kind of information. A caller says, the way the media are portraying the extra help for these for those on social welfare, you'd nearly think they're living it up when they are clearly not. They are the most vulnerable in the country, says a texter there. What's the limit a single parent can earn to keep a medical card? I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. Let us know if you do. 086 60 25,000. Another caller says, we cannot allow Donegal County Councillors to separate themselves from their TDs or their party in Leinster House. This collology, this separation needs to stop. And I suppose, what is it, speaking out of one side of your mouth at home and another out far away? Is that kind of also what you're talking to? And very finally, how does a carer manage to do something for 15 minutes of care? That's all they're getting sometimes. There are a number of things they won't do. The kettle would hardly be boiled by the time they have to leave again. So that's one other person's view of their experience. Okay, news on the way, then your hair care questions answered with Patrick Gilday. It's all going on here after 11.
Looking for the summer sporty look from the best brands like Nike, Adidas and Under Armour? Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure has your summer look. Nike Pro Tees and vest tops with matching shorts. Nike mid-layer quarter zips with women's tights in many different lengths. Under Armour t-shirts with matching bicycle length shorts, layered with new woven jackets and quarter zip tops. Look the part, play the part. In-store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Beat the cost of Brexit with no customs charges. Do you need a UK address for your limited company or personal use? Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. There's brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock, ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook at spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for more details.
Green Shoes in Letterkenny and Fulcara have shoes for every occasion. All your favourite brands, from Una Healy, Tommy Bow and Echo, to Kate Appleby, Marcosi and Skechers, plus many more. Shop LK and One for All gift cards are gratefully accepted in store. Green Shoes in Letterkenny at Market Square and Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Fulcara and online at greenshoes.com. Green Shoes, with the perfect fit for every foot.
This Thursday, the Jive Time Show will be live from the Lennon Festival, Ramelton, where there's a great lineup of entertainment this weekend, including Derek Ryan, the original voice of Smokey, Chris Norman, and Jimmy Buckley. Not forgetting the closing ceremony and fireworks on Monday with Offaly's Olivia Douglas and Ramelton's Paul McCahill. For details, see Lennon Festival on Facebook.
All right, Patrick Gilday's in the green room getting the finishing touches just before he makes his appearance here on the 9 till noon show. And just a reminder for you, of course, you can watch the programme not only this hour, but every hour, every day that we broadcast on our website, highlandradio.com, or jump on quickly to YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, or on our Facebook pages, Highland Radio News and Sport or Highland Radio. Get involved that way. Interact with us on our socials. All right, 11 o'clock news update time. Good morning, Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. We understand a review into the purchase of 5 houses in Buncrana by Donegal County Council has found the transaction was conducted properly and there was no impropriety in the actions of council officials earlier this year. The council requested quotations from external audit firms for the provision of a review of the process followed in connection with the purchase of the 5 houses at the Ancranla estate in Buncrana, which were later found to be affected by mica. It had been hoped that a report would be available by the end of April. There was a delay in securing a firm to carry out the review. We understand that after a firm was identified in late April, the review was conducted. Staff and members have been given the report today. A special council meeting we expect will be called in the coming days, at which point the report should be published. Meanwhile, the government is being accused of seeking to bulldoze the new defective blocks bill through the Dáil. This evening, TDs are set to debate the bill for 2 hours between 5:30 and 7:30. They'll consider as many of the 80 tabled amendments as possible, but once those 2 hours are finished, no more amendments will be considered and the debate will conclude with a vote. A man's been killed in a 3-car collision on the Letterkenny to Derry Road. The man was in his early 70s. Another man in his 40s was brought to hospital for treatment for non-life-threatening injuries. The collision happened at around 10 to 11 between Newton Cunningham and Manor Cunningham. A section of the N13 remains closed and diversions are in place as a technical examination continues. The UK bill on the Northern Ireland Protocol is being debated today in the European Parliament. MEPs are discussing the proposed bill, which passed the second reading stage in the British House of Commons last month. If passed, it will allow the UK government unilaterally ignore EU-UK arrangements for Northern Ireland after Brexit, and it could potentially risk a trade war between the two blocs. And the Housing Minister says he's confident the government can reverse the decline in home ownership rates. It follows new ESRI research which finds the number of 25 to 34-year-olds who own their own home has more than halved since 2004, falling from 60% to just 27% by 2019. And almost 1 in 3 parents are getting into debt because of back-to-school costs. Latest survey figures from the Irish League of Credit Unions shows parents are spending €1,518 on secondary school children and €1,195 on those at primary school. And we're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Thank you very much indeed, Donald. We'll be back in 40 seconds.
Travelling soon? Get your travel money completely, securely sorted with An Post Money. It's the only place you'll get foreign currency in both cash and on a currency card with 0% commission. Plus a 24/7 card helpline and emergency cash if you lose your card. So you're always sorted, whether you're here or here.
G'day, mate.
Or thousands of other places worldwide. Get your travel money sorted with An Post Money. Visit anpost.com or your local post office. T's and C's apply. An Post Money currency card is issued by PPS EUSA, pursuant to licence by MasterCard International. PPS EUSA is authorised by the National Bank of Belgium and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show, and delighted to welcome into studio Patrick Gilday, hairdressing and hair Q&As. How's everything going with the business, Patrick?
Good, Greg. It's been a challenge.
Yeah.
Like a lot of businesses getting up and running again. And
would you do me a favour? See that microphone?
Yeah.
Could you rotate the whole thing round? It's pointed in the wrong direction. No, the whole, just rotate it round. Actually, you know what? I'm going to come round and do it. Stay away. Yep. The number's facing you, Patrick States Live Radio. There we go.
Okay.
I had it round the wrong way. Good man.
Thank you.
Right, okay. Talk to me about the challenge.
The challenges have been with getting back up and running. We came through the whole COVID thing. All the systems in place around making people feel safe and comfortable, making staff feel safe. We came out the other end and it was exhausting. It was tiresome for the team, it was tiresome for the customers, and it was tiresome for ourselves, but we came through it. Like a lot of people, when you speak to other people in the small business sector, they found it a massive challenge, and we're very lucky, we're very busy. It's been good, it's been 100 miles an hour. I think I'm now 34 years in business.
Yeah.
And I think that I haven't run as fast in the last 2 years just to get things up and running again and get it back. It was almost as if we opened a new business again.
because it was a complete start. Everything that you had in place had to be tweaked and altered, and that's the general consensus around. We're in a better place.
Yeah.
And we're back to doing what we want to do, is do hair and enjoy doing it and making people happy. But no, it was very educational.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of those things in life that we go through. We'd never think that we would have been if somebody had told us what was going to happen. And certainly you had to lift the ball just and run with it and try your best.
And in terms of how customers have changed, if at all, because obviously there was 2 years out, and we remember, people were changing their hair, or maybe people were going to their natural colour, and once the colour was fading out, and they were growing the greys out, or whatever it might be. And then there was this big rush, everyone wanted to get that fur. So now that's calmed down a little bit. Is there a change? Have people changed? Have their priorities changed? Have their demands changed?
Yeah, we noticed a few different changes, which were good. People, different elements of people choosing different options. We found a massive change to people going grey, moving away from colour. So what happens is there's a natural transition in life of dare I say, an age barometer, where you would find that the market would tend to decide at a point of probably around the 60s, that age barometer. Do you know what? I'm going to embrace my grey now. Whereas we found that that's changed now. That's happening from 40s and even mid-30s and stuff. So that was an element that changed. So then also there was a demand on the industry. How can I feel good with grey hair? How can I feel relevant? How can I not feel psychologically older? And how can I maintain an edge within that? So that was something that landed on the industry and the creators within that to come up with something. And there was plans that come up from different companies around enhancing grey, making it more tonal, making it fresh, making it fluffy and light. So that worked very well. The other thing that we found is there was a visit journey, which was every 6 weeks. That visit journey now has been extended. You still have your clients that come every 6. It moved to 8. It moved to 10. People started to take an approach towards hair that I want it to be dressy, but I want it to be every day.
Did it, as for a lot of people, it's still important, but has it maybe slipped down the priority a little bit? Not necessarily financial priority either. I'm on about just maybe the little priorities we put in have in our life.
It became more important.
It became more important.
This was a big thing for us. People valued the importance of how their hair made them feel, and they valued of how they looked. And it was one of the parts that people, for COVID, from that point of view of how a haircut and a hairstyle can make someone feel, became very, very relevant. And all you kept hearing for a number of time, and even now, there's an importance on. And sorry, getting back to the crux of your question, is there a bigger demand from the customers? There is.
Yeah.
They want a higher standard. They want a better haircut, and they want to feel quality when they leave the salon. Should it be everyday hair or dressy?
All right. Okay. Let's get to some questions. Then we'll tease out some trends and things like that there. I let my hair go grey by coincidence. It's the first question here, but it has a lot of green in it. So what would be causing that? Could it be my water supply? Thank you, Patrick.
9 times out of 10, it would be the water in your area, but that's okay. The water is what it is. How you combat that there is you get a deep cleansing shampoo. All it is a little bit of the lime and the scale grabbing onto the cuticle of the hair, and depending on the texture of your hair, if it's a wee bit stronger, it might tend to grab more. If the water's a little bit harder in your area, what you do is don't wet your hair before you wash it. Get a deep cleansing shampoo, and what you do is put the shampoo into the hair dry, massage it through, really bring it up. It'll be quite difficult to do without the water, but bubblify it up within the hair. Actually use 3 times more than what you think you should do, and let it sit in the hair for 10 minutes. That'll break it down and it'll remove it. It mightn't just initially happen in the first go, but if you work on that over a period of 2 weeks, you should see it.
Because it's staining, really, then, is
it's a form of staining.
So it's about getting rid of that staining. And I don't mean that offensive to anyone's hair, but that's what we're talking about, isn't it?
It's natural staining.
Yeah.
Just on that as well, if you're doing a lot of cooking and you're going grey, if you're into cooking and you're leaning over the heat and the steam of the pot and stuff, you can find that you achieve yellow tones as well at the front, and the same thing applies to that there.
So in a way, do people with with grey hair, do they get more of an indication of how their surroundings affect their hair? Do you know what I mean? It's not masked as much by colour, and I don't just mean in terms of the green tonage or whatever, but generally the condition of the hair or what they do in their life can affect the quality of their hair.
If you take 10 people with grey hair, 8 out of the 10 people, there will be a coarseness that is with the grey hair, which means that when there is a coarseness and the cuticle is less smooth, it's open to absorbing everything around it, the moisture in the air. Even if you find that people go abroad on holidays, they'll come back and what they'll have is the moisture and the follicles in the air have actually expanded the hair cuticle, and sometimes you almost have to cleanse it out. You can't see it, but you can feel it, and that's breaking that down as well. But to answer your question, it is more noticeable in grey hair, the elements around us.
Okay. I began using argan hair oil mask. I know it's a cheaper product. I want to know, though, will it possibly do more harm than good?
It's not necessarily about the price point. If you find that the argan oil is something that works, the only thing that I would say to you is, because it's an oil, be careful that you don't overload the hair and it becomes heavy. Once a week, once a fortnight should be more than sufficient for that. And remember, when you're using an oil, it's a very concentrated product. So again, it goes back to the reverse what I was saying about the shampoo. Wherever you think you need, use half again.
Oh, right, okay. Any advice on hair thinning at the temples for a lady in menopause?
Again, with the menopause, what you're finding there is it's a natural body journey that you're on. What you do is you stay focused on it with the correct haircuts. We keep it very, very simple. There's a medical direction that you do that ties into that and addresses that. From a hairdressing point of view, we see a lot of thinning hair around menopause, around the temples and around just above the ears. What we tend to do is get a haircut that tends to work and disguise it for you and make you feel less self-conscious of it. Very long fringes don't work because the hair separates and it highlights it. And also, if you could work on the concept of anything with an overly deep parting, a nice soft sweepy fringe is the best way that we find for disguising and softening and blending it in for you.
I mean, cutting hair is incredibly technical.
Yes.
But because you're very technically proficient, it means there's an awful lot you can do with a set of scissors that maybe not everyone realises until they've had that experience.
There's massive amount of options, and it's only when something is highlighted around an issue. Like there is hundreds of techniques that you will use for different hair textures, different textures of hair, and to achieve different things. If you take those 100 and bring them all down to say about 20, there's always something that will work for everybody's hair type, and there's something that is specifically designed for that, what that lady's highlighted, and for thinning hair. There's a specific way of cutting hair for finer hair. For example, I had a lady yesterday and her hair was long. Her consciousness is, I want to keep my hair long, but it looks weak, it looks limp, it looks fine. And what we do is we call it's an invisible layer. This is where she didn't want to layer hair, but we take the hair up, we work into the hair in invisible gentle panels, and this creates an illusion of what's actually happening is those smaller pieces will lift and support the rest of the hair and give her body and make her feel
Lightens
that her
it
hair is
presumably as
fuller.
well.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, very good. All right. And also too, I think people should be aware of that there's nothing you guys haven't heard of before. So if someone thinks that, you've dealt with 1,000 women, I'm sure, that have come in with hair lightening at the temple. It's nothing new. So, don't be afraid to go in and have a consultation as well. It's not a commitment, is it, Patrick?
Listen, everybody has a relationship with their own hairdresser.
Yeah.
And even I find that when this starts to occur, there's that self-consciousness, there's that maybe it's having an impact on your confidence level. Listen, lift the phone to your own hairdresser. Tell them there's no hairdresser in the world that won't bring you in 5 minutes after work.
All right, this is an old one, isn't it? How can I get rid of split ends or prevent them?
Trim your hair frequently.
Yeah.
Very, very simple. Keep it moistured.
What is causing a split end?
It's just tiredness. It's just worn. It's the elements of the air. Heating elements is the biggest part in it. If you're using straighteners, using a hairdryer that's too warm. Always remember with hairdryers, if you hold your hand to a hairdryer, what's actually happening is if you can't hold your hand there, the heat is too high for your hair. And split ends is something which occurs with overuse of heat and wear and tear. About trimming it every 7 weeks keeps it at bay.
Is the semi-Delimo pink moisture best for highlighting and coloured blonde hair?
Well, that's given tone. So it does. Highlights is a form of different bleaching agents and different colours, which are combined with different peroxides to give you different lifts that you want to achieve. When you're talking about a specific tone there, you're not actually lifting. What you're doing is you're placing tone in the hair. Any tones that you will use, any bleaching agents will lift the hair first, and that's all it's designed to do. Then you place the tone that you want in the hair.
All right, Brunette says that their greys are showing more quickly now. They want to retain the hair colour, but they're never out of the hairdressers.
Oh, well, that's good. There's a couple of different techniques what you can do with brunettes, and what you can do is what we call baby lights, and this is where you're adding in such a fine dimension that it's almost creating a glistering of the sun that you can't see it, but you're taking small sections and softly weaving them in the area that you're very conscious, because 9 times out of 10 it's only the parting where you're conscious of the greys coming through. And this will work in a format of still maintaining your brunette tone, which is a very big colour this season coming anyway, but primarily what you're doing is you're softly diffusing it out. We tend to work that on other hairdressers, and where it gives you that extra couple of weeks without feeling you have to do the colour.
So at the parting, it's a slightly lighter tone, is that it?
Just creating.
It's a touch, is it?
It's a tone on tone, and it's almost like a sprinkle. But the difference when you reduce the solidness is you create that transparency where it's almost blending with the grey. Another small tip in that there is just get your parting service. Lots of people think that when they see some greys and they like to colour their hair, that they think, I have to go in and get the full job done. That is not the case. Go in and just get the parting done. Say 4 weeks. That gives you another 3 weeks without having the full service.
Yeah, okay. 08660 25,000. Get your questions in quick. And I have some here, but I want to talk about, you mentioned the word trend, and that distracted me. What drives trend? Is it still Love Island or Friends or the Oscars? Is it? Do people still exercise that influence that can sort of push trends?
It's funny how, even in the last 10 years, how it's evolved. We were encouraged and we were driven by TV and magazines. It was that simple. And now the world is such a bigger place, and events, we can watch it 4 or 5 times over.
And everyone's an influencer.
And everyone is an influencer of some kind. Or I don't know. Anyway, but primarily is the trends are coming fast and furious. So you need to be careful, because something today we're told is a trend, then tomorrow, and then the next day, and you go, what is happening here? So I think you have to pare it back and keep it simple. And this is why you find that the industry now has moved to the same format as the fashion industry. You have your season trends, where it used to be every quarter. Now I think it's moving to 6 months, which is a common sense approach. And with the trends that we find within the industry, we have influencers within our industry. They meet on an annual basis. They draw up trends with the fashion industry, what's the future, and they connect tones and looks towards that, where the whole thing is connected. Primarily, the hairdressing industry would be dictated by the fashion industry. Now, we're talking about everyday hair and people just want to look and feel good. But if we want to focus primarily on trends, that's where they're coming from. The likes of now, our trend for autumn is, we touched on it there, brunettes. And this season, the industry is predicting a diffusion of coppers, dark blondes, still being blonde, but being a darker blonde. And that's coming as a trend, because you don't have to do what trend says, but we all need a trend to aspire to, and we all need a change.
Of course, you can dip into it without getting fully wet,
and you can take a little. And it's important for us, being part of the fashion industry, that we offer that to the public and be part of that. And more importantly, take people with us, so that, if we all stayed the same and wore the same T-shirt every day, then it would be a very dull, boring world. And hair needs to be exciting as well. And part of those trends are to instill a bit of excitement. Primarily is they're drawn up 12 months in advance, and then they are predictions for the year ahead. So we're working on the brunettes, as we said. We're working on the soft, dark blondes. So if you're moving away from those very strong yellow tones, which were last season, we're moving away from very, very strong, heavy ash tones, and we're bringing in a bit of natural now to softly diffuse. And the other point is as well is to give lower maintenance as well. And this necessarily, we need to be careful when we talk about tones, because lots of people and lots of influencers tend to promote a lot of longer hair.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
No,
This
of
is
course
for
not. Yeah.
all different
Yeah.
hair lengths and all to suit you, but never lose away from a trend. A trend only works if it works with your eye colour, works with your skin colour, and you feel comfortable with it.
I mean, even if you watch old films, it's very rare you would come across a hair length or style, particularly with women. I think that you'd go, "Oh my word!" You know what I'm on about? For the most part, I mean, you can go back maybe to 80s and 70s, and there's some stuff you'd never see now, like backcombing till it's going out of fashion or something like that. There, but generally speaking, there's not a massive change. You can see
the goalpost moves slightly.
Just as you mentioned about the influences, though. I mean, I don't know if it's my age or maybe where the newspaper I was reading at the time. But when I was younger, you talked about supermodels, right? You had Naomi Campbell's and Claudia Schiffer, and you could list off a dozen really recognizable people. Right now, I don't know if I'm just not exposed to that or it's because I'm older. I couldn't now. I couldn't sort of say, right, those are a group of supermodels in inverted commas that I know that transcend from fashion into sort of general popular culture. Is that just me? Do those people still exist and I just don't know them, or is that sort of catwalk? Those famous people, famous for being models. Is that kind of a thing of the past, and they've all been subsumed into what we were talking about earlier, your Instagram influencers?
I think they've been passed out, and I think a lot of those people have now become icons.
Yeah, but are there replacements of them, really, is what I'm getting at?
The replacements, now this is only an opinion.
Yes, of course.
There is replacements, and when I see the change of the Naomi Campbells and those very individual high profiles, we have them in our own parish.
Yeah.
Now we have them in our own county. We have them on a national basis.
I get you, right.
And that's where I see it happening and transitioning. Now, sometimes I'm in a place where you are at, and I'm kind of going, is this for real? And then, but you have to accept this is transition, this is change, and these people are going to be the influencers of the future. In a nice way, it's actually quite nice, because if you take an ordinary girl who's gone over the town, wearing something from our local shops, she's wearing it well, she's shown even from a different size, minuses and pluses, and embracing all that there. It's important, I think, that people, especially now, because sometimes people can be a little bit lost with so much social media, that they can feel, well, this is normal. So you can connect to where you want to connect. You have your international, you have your national, the likes of Pipsy and people like that there, and then we come to the county, and then you have local girls in the town here. Now, some of it's bananas, but some of it actually does work and can instill confidence.
All right, and I think to some extent, and I probably would get shot for saying this, I think on an international scale, in trying to be all inclusive, maybe they've lost, they've kind of lost a connection with people, if that makes sense.
Oh,
Do you know
without
what I mean?
doubt.
And as I say, I have to be really sensitive how I describe that. But if you watch some of the adverts now, and it's fantastic, there's that level of inclusivity. But I actually just wonder to the majority of people, and they're all mixed in as the majority, if it actually is as relatable as it once was, if you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, without doubt. It's also almost as well.
I'm not on about colours and stuff or
No.
people's race. I'm not on about that. I'm just on about,
different mixes and different barometers.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you're looking all over the place and you're going, well, is someone watching that and going saying that's me or that could be me or whatever? And I just think, right.
I think that a lot of companies, what they do is they try to overload it. And what happens is it leaves the consumers at times going, sorry, what's the story here? And your eyes are going everywhere and you're going, what? Yeah. And if it's brought back to a simpler format, this is why I think social media plays such a powerful point, because people can connect to what they want to connect.
Yep. And you can't be a jack of all trades and master of none. You have to have some sort of a direction. All right, this is an interesting one. I'm not sure if you've come across this much. I lost my hair after having COVID, but now it's grown back thicker and curlier. Does Patrick know why this has happened? Has he seen this?
I don't know why your hair has grown back this way, but we have seen a lot of COVID hair loss. We've seen a lot of COVID hair growth. And the good news is people who have lost a lot of hair in COVID, their hair has grown back to the same strength and, as she's indicated, stronger.
Because we didn't know that when we were first speaking to you,
That's
because
right.
it was unproven. You were encountering your clients, and I actually think at the time you said we don't know what's going to happen. But now we've got time, we've got the numbers, and thankfully, for the most part, you're seeing a regrowth as it were before.
Now, it took us by surprise because we were being asked questions. We didn't have answers, Greg, because it was all new, and we were trying to reach out to see could we find the answers for people. And in a nutshell, the hair loss happened. It is growing back. Coming back to that lady's actual query, I think it's a fantastic thing what you're saying, the way that it's come back, because it can always be cut and worked to where you want it to be. And to me, that's the most important thing about what's come out of COVID hair loss. I have seen different textures coming back also, but not so much. But the good news is the hair has come back.
All right, going to have to mention the F word here. What can be done to erase fizz in the weather? My hair goes into a round fuzzball.
If we're talking about the holiday season, and when you're in the sun, put on a bit of conditioner, comb it through and leave it on, and it will give you, not alone will it control your frizz, tame it, but it will also make you look really good with your hair polished as well.
Do you think everyone should be using a silk hair wrap or pillowcase for sleeping?
It's a very personal choice. On conversation with people, sometimes people find that it works very well. It doesn't tangle their hair. I wouldn't say not to use it. I think it does reduce the friction at night time, especially if your hair is long, and especially if you're a blonde. I think that they work fantastic, but it's not for everybody.
I've seen the bump or the quiff coming back for women.
Love it.
It seems to be coming back around very quickly. That's a comment. It's a comment. It's not a question. Very good. Excellent. Is it a good idea to bulk buy purple shampoo on Amazon or eBay? It's so expensive and cheap. It's so expensive, but it's cheaper online.
A very personal choice. Depends on what you're getting. If it's the correct product and it works for you, that's a personal choice. But don't forget to have the consultation with your stylist. Just talk to them, tell them the truth, that you can get it cheaper, but make sure that you're using the correct product for your hair.
What's your view on hair supplements for fine hair? This listener's on them 4 months now. I can't see any difference, and they're very expensive.
Yes, give it another 4 months. Give it 2 tracks. You tend to work in 4 month quarter sections. 4 months, 4 months. If after another section of 4 months that you find the same, it may not be for you, and maybe consider something else.
Now, it's not going to affect the hair that's already there.
No,
it's only going to have any impact on regrowth or new growth, potentially, or what's to follow. Okay. Can you ask Patrick, what's the best way to lighten hair colour from black to light brown? Thanks, Greg. Love your show. Just want to get that bit in at the end.
This is where you need to be careful that you don't charge in, because you could end up lightening your hair, and you could end up absolutely making a mess of the condition of your hair, and they certainly don't want to go that. This is what you call gentle, 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 and you need to use a product that is designed to very softly remove that build up of tone that's in the hair, so that at the end up you achieve tone and you achieve condition. But it's important that you don't just achieve tone and your hair is completely over processed.
All right, just a couple of quickies, because I invited people to text and I want to get through as many of them as possible. How often should I use conditioner? I've got long hair, it's thick hair, it's not dyed, and I wash it every 2 days.
Every time.
If
your hair is long, you want to maintain. Now, the only wee secret, if you're asking the question because sometimes you feel it's a wee bit heavy on your hair, just use it halfway down.
Yeah.
Don't use it. Sometimes we have a habit in the shower, we can pour it out, put it in the scalp and comb it through. Just work from the tip of your ears down the hair, and that will be sufficient.
I don't know if that's relevant or if that's something you'd want to comment on there. It's about an individual. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, or it's about an influencer and they're not sure if they're legit. But
if you want to contact the station, and you can get my mobile number, and I come back to you that in a personal capacity.
Okay, it's just a wee bit. Okay, just a couple of quickies then. My 12-year-old's insisting on getting a wolf cut. I'm not a fan. Her friend has just gotten it, and now she wants it too. Wolf cut. Talk me through that.
Why not? It's well, listen.
This is why not. The last time you were on, I think you were in battles with a teenager
I
about
know, right?
A particular haircut. So now, come on.
And then when I went back down, I get my wings clipped.
Sorry for dragging that up again.
I know. But listen, the wolf cut is, to me, it's a strong shape. It's something that she's feeling, and she wants it for herself. And if her friend's having it, then what's actually happening is she likes it. And we are doing that type of stronger shapes on people in this age barometer. And I understand the mother's concern, but she's not asking for something that other people are not having, and it's not anything out of the norm. She's asking, this is what I will feel, this is what I want to be. So,
And what is so surprising about it? Not because I mean, obviously, Billie Eilish is she's had the wolf cut, I believe.
Yeah, it's kind of based around, it's to me, there's nothing. You see,
I just looked at a couple of pictures. I think Miley's had that haircut as well. I don't see anything. Is it because it thins out a lot of hair, or something?
It takes away a lot of the texture, and to me, it gives a more urban feel to the hair, and it tends to work on the concept of giving a lot of lightness. But a lot of people find that it makes people look older before their time at a certain age barometer.
Okay.
So if you work in the idea of, say, keeping the deep fringe, and you work in a variation of where maybe it's just not as long, not as short maybe as what you would like it to be, maybe a 2-point stepping stone of where she can take so much to start with, where she can still tie it up and she still has that convenience from every day rather than going too short with the layers.
Do you have a conversation about whether a particular haircut, be it that or another, suits someone's face? The face shape. You have to you factor that in, I presume, don't you? I mean, you can't lob a wolf cut in my head because So, like, what about would you be if you brought someone like a young person like that? They probably have their mind made up too, though, don't they? I mean, I was going to say if you bring them in for a consultation, but they know what they want and.
Without doubt. They're way ahead of the curve, so they are now. And again, it gets back to what we were discussing earlier. They have their finger on the pulse of what's coming, not what's now.
Pixie cuts, they're becoming dated.
Not at all. Timeless, classy, feminine,
timeless.
Sexy.
That's the kind of word you want for a haircut. Great to listen to Patrick Gilday, lovely man who's always so helpful and kind. That's nice,
Thank you very much.
Right. Hi. Very last one. I've got highlights, but my dark roots show after 9 weeks. My hairdresser recommended getting a brown toner, which will wash out after a few weeks to tone down roots. Would this work? As I hate when I tie my hair back, dark root circle line. Will it wash to blonde again? So that's blonde hair showing through, is it?
Just repeat this. Sorry, Greg.
I've got highlights, but my dark roots show after 9 weeks. My hairdresser recommended getting a brown toner, which will wash out after a few weeks, to tone down the roots. Would this work? As I hate when I tie my hair back and there's a dark root circle line. Will it wash to blonde again?
Okay, well, I'm going to take that you have dark roots anyway, so you don't need the colour on it.
Yeah, that's it. There's no grey. This is about the dark showing through here.
I can't see really the point of doing that there, because all you're doing is adding tone and tone. If you're wanting your blonde, you're putting highlights in because you want to be lighter. Unless you want a root shadow, you achieve the root shadow from your natural hair. You wouldn't need to do something like that there. If you're saying that you're not happy with the tone of the natural hair, then most certainly what you can do is you can add in something which will change the tone of it slightly in a semi-permanent format. But I wouldn't necessarily find a long-term benefit from doing that.
All right, Patrick Gilday from Patrick Gilday Hairdressing. If anyone wants to call down to see you, where are you located, Patrick?
Just in Riverside Retail Park, and if you want to call in or give me a call about anything I've discussed.
Definitely, anyway, okay. And the number is?
074 91 25476.
And we'll retain that here, of course, for anyone that wants it. Listen, we got through a lot, Patrick. I appreciate it. I'm not sure how long you thought you were going to be on, but I think we might have exceeded your anticipations. All right, back with more on the 9 to Noon show after the break.
When it comes to searching for a holiday, Atlantic Travel and Letterkenny deal with all the major tour operators from Dublin and Belfast to find you the best deals available. A week in the sun, a cruise, or maybe a short break. Whatever suits, you can book in confidence with Atlantic, knowing your holiday is protected should something go wrong. Take the hassle and worry out of your holiday booking with the award-winning Atlantic Travel, St Oliver Plunkett Road, Letterkenny. For a quote today, see Facebook, visit atlantictravel.ie or call 9126193.
This week, Lidl's inflation-busting offers have something for everyone. Get 3 for €9 on our barbecue meats. Kids' wetsuits were $24.99, now just $14.99. And delicious loose cherries, 33% off 100 grams. So if your kids are cherry and beef burger eating by the ocean kind of kids, we've really got you covered. Lidl, more for you, while stocks last.
Experience Grammy-nominated music sensation Celtic Woman on their all-new tour, Postcards from Ireland, Millennium Forum Derry, Friday the 12th of August. Tickets from £29.50 on sale now. See millenniumforum.co.uk and celticwoman.com for details.
Visit Oakfield Park this Thursday the 7th and enjoy the first Teddy Bears picnic since 2019. This famous event is one of Oakfield Park's most popular, and you can join in anytime between 12 and 5. Bring your teddy and meet the Oakfield Bears, Peppa Pig, Winnie the Pooh, Tigger and friends. Visit the Teddy Bears Hospital and have your bear scanned and receive an Oakfield Health Cert. There'll be outdoor games, crafts, gummy bear hunts, nature walks and train rides all day long. No booking fee, no pre-booking is necessary and normal gate fees apply. See you for the Teddy Bears picnic this Thursday at Oakfield Park, Rafo.
The Samsung Galaxy S22 series has arrived at Vodafone. It's the new epic standard for smartphones. The Galaxy S22 series is ripping up the rulebook with its pro-grade cameras, lightning-fast processor and long-life battery, making it the biggest leap forward yet in a Galaxy device. Call in-store now and get the Samsung Galaxy S22 for free when you switch to Vodafone Bill Pay and trade in your old phone. Eligibility applies, subject to switching to a red, unlimited 24-month plan. For full terms, see vodafone.ie/terms.
Give your vegetables the best start possible with Veggie Mix from Gortley Sales and Hire. Veggie Mix is weed-free for 3 years and is perfect in a raised bed, polytunnel or to improve your soil. Veggie Mix at Gortley Sales and Hire, Letterkenny.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
For great food in the heart of Letterkenny's Cathedral Quarter, step into Dillon's Hotel. Using only the best local produce, Dillon's serve an extensive menu every day from 12. Perfect for a quick bite, a relaxed lunch or a leisurely dinner. Try the renowned 4-course Sunday lunch with full table service. Or if you work in town, why not pre-order and have your lunch waiting? Great food and service, 7 days a week at Dillon's Hotel Letterkenny, with live music every Friday and Saturday night. Visit dillons-hotel.ie.
Does your Kia or Nissan need to be serviced? There's a host of benefits to servicing your car with iMotors. Our workshop has dedicated software and computers that are designed for your Kia and Nissan. Our technicians are trained to the manufacturer's standards to make sure they understand your car. Call us today or visit our website to book in. We also offer servicing on all other branded vehicles.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'd be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'd be them. 07491 43942.
Business Matters, in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. The part-time Level 8 Honours degree in Business is delivered through a mix of online and face-to-face lectures. Email execedbusiness@lyit.ie. That's EXECED business@lyit.ie. Or call 9186206.
Okie dokie. It is time for Business Matters with Kieran O'Donnell. The Business Matters podcast from Highland Radio is available for you every Wednesday. Kieran's good enough to come in and tell us what's coming up, but also run down what's happening in the world of news on business news with a local focus as well. And we'll start with some good news. Tata Consultancy Services are recruiting.
Yeah, TCS to recruit 200 new staff members at its base in Letterkenny, Greg. The company, which currently employs over 1,000 people across a range of high-tech related roles, will hold a careers open evening at its facility at Letterkenny Technology Park on Thursday, that's July the 11th, between 6 and 8. So just a wee bit of background in terms of what TCS is about, Greg. It also offers digital and business solutions and has approximately 592,000 employees globally. And that represents 153 nationalities across 46 countries. And I just did a wee bit of digging in terms of revenue and profit. The company's revenue for the year ended 2021 was $35 billion, with profit for the final quarter of last year up 12%.
You've done more due diligence than Elon Musk has done for Twitter. Well done to you.
Elon Musk is getting paid much better than me.
No, you're working hard on it. Right, okay. More good news in terms of expansion and potential job creation.
It's important to sort of highlight the good news, Greg. Swiss technology company, I think it's Travisori, which has a base in Letterkenny, is planning to create 30 more jobs by 2024. So this firm, they specialise in technology for the collection and processing of visitor information at border crossings. And they've opened a development centre in the CoLab within the ATU Donegal on Letterkenny's Port Road.
All right. Now, an interesting development here. I suppose it's about openness and transparency, isn't it? And it's relating to the council.
Yeah, a new website that gives a breakdown of the budgets of all the local authorities for 2022 has just been launched by a team of researchers at the National University of Galway. So the site will allow you to compare and contrast the spending of all of the country's 31 local authorities. So Donegal County Council's budget for this year is €162.3 million, or that equates to just over €1,000 per person. So the main headings, Greg, just less than a third of that, that's €53.4 million, will be spent on roads, with €21 million allocated to housing and €18.7 million to water.
Right, okay. I just wonder, is that a blunt instrument, or because I can imagine then if it's sort of, the way council budgets work and they roll from year to year, is it just comparing the headline figures?
I didn't get into a lot of detail. I'm sure if
you were too busy checking up on that Swiss company to do anything else, weren't you?
I think it's probably the first time that it's going to be, if people have an interest in seeing where the money that's been allocated to their county and all other counties, how it's been spent and what it's been spent. And it surprised me that something like this wasn't available before now, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly, in a collective way. Right, okay. Now, there's great excitement on Monday with the launch of the Letterkenny Chamber Business Awards.
Yes, for those who weren't listening on Monday, Greg, the Letterkenny Chamber Business Awards for 2022 were launched on your own show here by the Chamber CEO, Tony Forrester, and Sean Quinn, Head of Advertising here. So Highland will be the media partner for this year's awards, and the event will be held in partnership with AirGrid. So there are 13 award categories. Entries are now open, and the winners will be announced at the Gala Ball on Friday, November the 11th in the Mount Errigal Hotel.
All right, okay. And if you missed that launch, you can watch it on our website now. Right now, not right now, wait till a little later on, please. Go to highlandradio.com and you'll see that chat between myself, the rep from AirGrid, Tony and Sean. All right, the Cove Restaurant is on the market.
Yeah, the Cove Restaurant in Port de Blas has been placed on the market with an asking price of €550,000. Located close to the Port de Blas Pier, the bistro-style restaurant has the capacity to seat around 100 patrons when you take in outside and another level. So the sale is being handled by Falcarra-based auctioneer Manaskelly.
All right, be interesting to see how quickly that shifts. All right, excellent. Kieran O'Donnell there. We're going to be previewing what's coming up on this week's podcast, which will be available for you very, very shortly. In fact, it might be already on our website, but we'll do that after this short break.
The Birth Information and Tracing Act is now here. People adopted, boarded out, or the subject of an illegal birth registration can access their birth information where available from October. A contact preference register has been established to enable these people and those connected to them to register their preference in relation to future contact with relatives. This is an important issue for many, and an information booklet is being delivered to homes across Ireland. Visit birthinfo.ie to find out more.
Since she got her free hearing aids with her PRSI at Specsavers, Roisin is a changed woman. Music has never sounded better, and that makes her dance. And dance. And dance. Her singing, though, well...
Free hearing aids with PRSI at Specsavers. Music to your ears. Find out more online. Terms and conditions apply.
TCS is recruiting 200 new staff at their Global Delivery Centre in Letterkenny. Interested in a career in tech, business or design? Come along to the TCS Open Evening, where you'll get the chance to meet with staff and learn about their great learning programmes, career development and flexible working options. Drop in between 6 and 8 p.m. on Thursday the 14th of July or register in advance at openevening.tcscareers.ie.
Is your current car ready for change? If so, now is a good time to visit DMG Motors Donegal Town. Choose from their Skoda range including the Fabia, Scala, Superb, Karoq, Kodiaq, Kamiq, Octavia and the all-new electric Enyaq. Now available for delivery. All fitted with the latest technology, Skoda Connect, with a whole new range of simply clever features. DMG Motors have made buying a new car affordable with finance available on all new vehicles. Test drive the new Skoda today. Call 9721396. Skoda, made for Donegal.
Okay, and we are back. Right, so on this week's podcast, Kieran.
Yeah, I'll be speaking to Creative Director Lisa Breslin and Erical Arts Festival CEO Paul Brown. Lisa Breslin is a creative director and founder of Imagine Lab Design, which she runs from her office in Lifford and the DigiHub at the base in Stranraer. So having worked in the graphic and motion design sector for 20 years, Lisa set up her own business 10 months ago after being made redundant.
I suppose COVID was the catalyst. I was made redundant in March 2020. Well, not redundant straight away, but I was furloughed and then redundant then 6 months later. So I had 6 months off to think about my career and my family, and I got 6 months to just take time out, which I never had before. I was straight into work and always working. So I had these 6 months to really think about what I wanted to do, and I had 6 months to prioritise my family. I have 2 young boys. So once I was made redundant, I had decided I'm going to work for myself, but just out of fear of the pandemic, I went straight into employment. I did so for 9 months, and I really enjoyed that job, but that niggle to start my own business just never went away. So I left that job last summer and started the business then officially in September last year.
And I love those stories, Kieran, because lots of us have the itch, but not all of us have the courage to scratch it. But Lisa did. She bit the bullet and she knew it was there and she had to do it.
Very much. And look, she had 20 plus years experience, so she knows that the sector as good as anybody. Look, she used the time off the first 6 months when she was furloughed. And the big thing was, it's another example of the new way of working, Greg, but primarily she was putting the family first, and she's able to build her working day and her working week around her family, and she's actually cracked that. I know we hear a lot of talk about work-life balance, but it's probably the most practical and best example I've seen yet of the work-life balance when it comes to somebody set up their own business.
All right, so the Erical Arts Festival is about to get underway. It kicks off in earnest on Saturday, July the 9th, and it's an interesting interview this with Paul Brown. He's the CEO and artistic director of the Erical Arts Festival, because it's not a business in and of itself as such, but it has to be run as such, but also there's a huge economic dividend for it. So you were talking to Paul?
Yeah, Paul's looking forward to what is going to be the start, Greg, of the 35th annual event, and I suppose it's coming after 2 challenging years. And in this clip, as you've alluded to, he talks about the economic value of the festival to the locality.
The last independent economic analysis that was done by Indicon back in 2009, and back then that they estimated it was about €1.5 million return to the local economy and what the festival created. Obviously the festival's grown since then as well, so it is a significant economic generator for the county, not only in terms of the festival productions themselves, but in terms of the draw. People come to the county during that period to attend festival events. On average, a visitor coming from outside the county spends about €750 in the time that they're here. So that's one person coming in. It's quite a significant return.
Okay, this week's podcast is available for you like they are every week. They go live on our website, highlandradio.com, from 11:30 a.m. The full interviews with Lisa Breslin and Paul Brown available there, and on Spotify and iTunes. And for those who want to listen on air, Kieran?
Yeah, Sunday evening, Greg, after the 6 o'clock news.
All right, Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. And if people wish to make contact with you or the show?
Yeah, drop me an email, please. businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
All right, Kieran, listen, thank you as always. It's great having you in, and we really do appreciate it. So the Business Matters podcast available for you in the on-demand section of our website right now. Also available for you there, as I mentioned, we have the video launch of the Chamber Awards. You can watch the latest Score podcast from Oisin Kelly and listen to that there. Brendan Devaney's DL Debate, Kieran's show, You can get a podcast of the main evening news, sport and obituary notices. It's all in our on-demand section, so go over there. It's getting more and more populated all the while, and you can listen there as you choose on demand. Okay, we're joined on the programme by Councillor Nicholas Crossan. Good morning, Nicholas. How are you this day?
Good morning, Greg.
Right, okay. Now, you were speaking at a recent AGM, and you warned people who've refused to take a brand new council house in Buncrana not to come looking for help from me. I've heard comments from you in the past along these lines, but this is sharp language, Nicholas, so obviously it's born of experience. Tell us the background to you saying something so direct.
Well, if you take it in the context, Greg, that I did say that anybody had a genuine reason for refusing a house. But when people go on a local authority housing list, they are assessed on how many bedrooms they need, where they want to live, where the children go to school, etc., etc. So if the county council, first of all, has to provide land, go to tender, build houses, so they go to, that somebody has a need for a 2 or 3 bedroom house, and they say, no, that doesn't suit me, that house doesn't suit me. I think one family and that can't take up a house because of maybe some of the disabilities or the special needs in the particular house. But for anybody to say that I don't like my neighbour, or it's too small, or I don't like the area, in Buncrana, within walking distance of the town, I think it would be very difficult to go and try and make representation for those people again.
And these are new houses in a prime location?
These are new houses, walking distance in Buncrana, A-rated heating. They're insulated to an nth degree, easy run. And what we have 611 people on a housing list in Ashown. There's 21 new houses. These are the first houses was built. New houses, local authority houses, was built in Buncrana for years. Mm. Now, the fundamental, in my living, the fundamental issue for any family is to secure housing. If you get a local authority housing, you are secure in that house for the remainder of your day if you want to rent it.
So you're saying even if that means maybe moving children from school, maybe being that bit further away from your family, you should make those life adjustments because you've been offered this house in this area?
Well, if I can go back, the assessments, this just doesn't happen really well. The amount of work that Karen Donoff has put in to trying to apportion the proper house for the person. As I said, it's walking distance to Buncrana Town Centre. It's walking distance to the schools. It is convenient. I don't think we're going to ask somebody to move from Carndonna to Buncrana because of their house if they don't want to. They're asked where they want to live. So as far as the council were concerned, the offer they put out for 21 people, their needs were met. And that's all we can do as a county council, that meet the needs of the people who's looking for houses. I wish we had 200 houses to give out.
Right, well, the refusal rate for these new houses in Buncrana is along the same lines, 1 in 4 effectively, isn't it?
Yeah.
Refusals across Inishowen during the housing crisis, is that correct?
That's correct, and you've heard me saying from time to time that the refusal rate within Inishowen is about 30% of refusal, month in, month out. For whatever reason, sometimes there are very good reasons that people just can't move into a house or don't want to go to that particular house for various reasons. But for somebody that needs a 3-bedroom house in Buncrana to turn around, and these houses are finished to perfection, and I mean they really are.
How many did you say in Inishowen? 600 odd are waiting on a house
611, and within Buncrana area there's 239 families on the waiting list.
So let me ask you then, do you think that figure then overstates the housing crisis? Because if people are in a housing crisis, they're not going to refuse a brand new house close to Buncrana. So in other words, do you think there are people on that housing list that really perhaps shouldn't be on it?
No, I'm not saying that at all. Anybody's on the housing list.
I wasn't attributing that view to you. I was asking you that question.
No, not at all. No, not at all. Anybody on the housing list is entitled to be on the housing list. Obviously, they're in need of housing. Some of them are on HAP, some of them are on private rental. But I mean, like somebody that maybe refused a house, and maybe, I don't know the circumstances, living in private accommodation, and the landowner comes along and says, sorry, we're selling this house, or I need it for my own family, and you've got to go. In 2 or 3 months or 6 months down the line, you know, the fund, I can go back to it, security. You know, for housing, you could get in there, save up, buy the house or buy another house, whatever the case may be. But the fundamental issue around this year, in my opinion, is security for your family. And to me, some of those people are walking away from a very, very secure house.
Right, what then needs to be done to the rules to discourage this then? I mean, obviously you've said that you would prefer not to cooperate with those who have refused a house for no apparent good reason. Well, you're entitled. You're allowed 2 refusals within a calendar year. Is that? Do you believe that goes
and
far
after
enough,
that,
then?
you go to the. You're allowed 2 refusals if they're minor refusals. You know, if you're say that you can't go to that house for whatever the specifications of the house doesn't suit your needs. Well, you don't have to take up that offer. But what I'm saying, anybody that needed a 3-bedroom house, to refuse it down like that, unless they have a good reason, you know, they're in danger of going back down the list again. Right. And it's frightening, because every day there is somebody on the phone to me looking about houses. And we can't, Donegal County Councillor could not get anybody a house and be under no illusion. All we can do is make representation if there's a change needs a change in assessment or any issue like that. But, you know, all we could do was do our best. And if you were to say, it's not to say that I would just ask yesterday if somebody to reconsider if there would be an offer of a house. You know, don't walk away from the security of a local authority housing.
Okay, now I understand you might not want to comment on this, and I respect that fully until you've seen the report in itself, but you would maybe know that we understand that a review into the purchase of 5 houses in Buncrana by the council has found the transaction was conducted properly and there was no impropriety in the actions of council officials. I know this is a matter you were keen, I believe, to see come to a conclusion. Do you want to give me a quick reaction to that?
Oh, yeah, I'm actually delighted. And from day one, Greg, I said, look, there's 5 houses in Buncrana. If they were up tomorrow, would we buy them? Possibly not. But they're bought. There's 5 families living in those houses. They have been living in those houses for 10 years, some of them. So there was a long-term lease. So it was, in my opinion, it was a great idea for Donegal County Council to buy those houses. We will get money to when they need fixed. So I think it's a win-win situation, and I'm glad that the officials and the staff of Donegal County Council, there's no finding of any impropriety against them, and I'm delighted with that.
And they've been vindicated.
They have been vindicated. That's my opinion. And I live near to those houses than anybody else, and you know, they're not going to fall down tomorrow morning. You know, and there's 5 families living there happily. And look, I go back. Those people feel secure in those houses now.
All right, listen, thanks for that. I appreciate your comments on both matters. That's it for the 9 till noon show for this Wednesday. We're back with you tomorrow morning at 9. Stay tuned. John Breslin is quite literally around the northwest. He is in Letterkenny. We'll be back with you, as I say, tomorrow morning at 9. From me, Greg Hughes, and Emma Ryan and Donna Marie Doherty researched and produced the show. Have a fantastic day. And as I say, please rejoin us tomorrow morning. We've got loads already lined up for you. And we're just adding to it as the day wears on. Have a great Wednesday, everyone.
Beat that.